Hello everyone, subscribe to my channel to not miss new trending manhwa.
A mysterious voice declares, "I know that name very well." Visions depict an uncontrollable swordmaster, trapped and tormented. He's described as a man out of his mind, a chilling smile on his face. This is Ghislain Perdium, Count Perdium's supposedly useless oldest son. Elsewhere, a defeated warrior begins his furious rant. Was defeated by that garbage human being, he screams, bloodied and enraged. A hooded figure taunts him amidst a fiery trap. Pretty warm and cozy, right? The figure stands revealed, a formidable knight wielding a massive, bloodied axe. Do you like it? The Dark Knight asks, a single eye glowing ominously. The defeated warrior stammers, "Why you're that garbage?" Ghislain, realizing he's been outplayed. Ghislain looms over his foe, surrounded by the fallen, declaring, "Not just that." He reveals, "I also knew about their entire army." Ghislain details his knowledge, how many of you there were, who the spies were, and who helped you with reinforcements. Broken nesting dolls symbolize the unraveling of their intricate, layered plot. A giant, knowing eye watches the defeated warrior, as Ghislain states, "I knew it all from the start." The warrior trembles in disbelief. There's no way. I've always been a hidden ace card. He erupts in a furious, bloodied scream. How could you? How could a useless piece of shit like you dare to? Ghislain's armored boot slams into the warrior's face, silencing his rant. Towering over the crushed enemy, Ghislain simply commands, "Shut it." He casts down a helmet, vowing, "Try invading however many times you want. I'm going to win the war. Every single time." Ghislain poses a chilling question amidst the inferno. "Do you know why that is?" He smirks, revealing, "It's because I've got all the plans." The scene shifts, a year ago, to the Lithuania kingdom near the Perdium estate. A figure gasps in bed, bewildered. What just happened? It's Ghislain, younger and terrified, clutching his chest. "I'm alive." His eyes widen in horror. "There's no way, just a while ago, I was." A blinding flash interrupts his memory, a moment of violent impact. He recalls a bloodied sword, spinning through the air, a harbinger of doom. The vision shows that very sword piercing him in a brutal battlefield defeat. Blood splatters as a younger, defeated Ghislain curses, "Shit." He relives his brutal end, pierced by countless blades, blood obscuring his vision. His killer, a red-haired warrior, looms over him. "So this is how it ends, Ghislain Perdium." This victor, noble knight Idun, one of the continent's 7 strongest, declares, "The war is over." Idun asks for last words. Ghislain only regrets his unfulfilled revenge. Ghislain, the Mercenary King, silently curses his foe, "Die, you sickening bastard." Idun scoffs at Ghislain's defiance. How arrogant. The knight then reveals a shocking truth. "I didn't expect you to be the Perdium household's oldest son." Ghislain, stunned, wonders how this enemy from another kingdom knows his past. Idun admits, "Of course, I know. I worked hard long ago trying to track you down." With a chilling smile, Idun confesses, "Because we worked with the Delphini household to bring down your family." Ghislain, dying, processes the shocking plural, "we." He realizes shadowy figures beyond Duke Delphini orchestrated his family's downfall. Idun dismisses further explanation, telling Ghislain to accept his imminent death. Ghislain erupts in a final, blood-soaked vow, "I will never forgive you." Idun, unfazed, simply responds with a chillingly calm, "Okay." The red-haired knight swings his blade in a final, decisive arc. Ghislain recalls the moment of his execution. "He decapitated me at that moment." Yet back in the present, Ghislain touches his intact neck, bewildered by his survival. He questions if the vivid memories were a hallucination, noticing his younger appearance. Ghislain suspects mages experimented on him, vowing revenge for being kept alive. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Young master," startling Ghislain. Perdium soldier Ricardo enters. "Please come on out, young master. I know that you're awake." Ghislain, eyes narrowed, swiftly draws a sword, whispering, "SH." He grabs Ricardo, blade to his throat. "I'll let you live if you answer my questions." Ghislain's eye gleams menacingly as he adds, "Or maybe not." Ricardo, terrified, stammers, "Why, young master?" utterly confused by the aggression. The soldier protests, "Don't you think this is crossing the line? A no is a no." Ghislain, now bewildered, asks, "What are you talking about?" Ricardo suddenly punches Ghislain, yelling, "You tired yourself out from your tantrum earlier and fell asleep." Ricardo scoffs, "Did you forget everything after taking a nap? You were throwing a tantrum about how you were gonna command the group to raid the orcs." Ghislain stares blankly, questioning, "The orcs?" Ricardo, picking himself up, retorts, "What? I threw a tantrum. What kind of nonsense?" As he tells Ghislain to gather his things. Still disoriented, Ghislain asks, "My stuff. Where are we going?" Ricardo grabs Ghislain's arm, stating, "Where to the Perdium estate, of course." Ghislain's eye flashes with utter shock at the mention of his family's estate. He violently grabs Ricardo, shouting, "Say that again," while Ricardo stammers an apology. Ghislain, aghast, clarifies, "P. Perdium, you mean the fallen Perdium estate." The scene shifts, showing Ghislain overlooking a vast, thriving town and castle. The Perdium estate. He murmurs in disbelief. It really is the Perdium estate. Then wonders, why is it fine? I saw it reduced to ashes back then. Ricardo asks if he had a nightmare, warning, calling your own household a fallen one. You'll get kicked out if the count hears that. Ghislain pinches his cheek, asking, "Am I dreaming right now?" He slaps himself hard, wincing, "Ugh. I guess not," as Ricardo looks on, startled. Reflections show his younger face and the Perdium estate in its original state. The pristine castle and town are reflected, prompting a realization. That means, standing before a massive, ethereal clock, Ghislain wonders, I traveled back to the past? He remembers his younger self, head swirling with frustration, resenting the household. His past immaturity, born from feeling inferior, caused trouble, leading to people avoiding him. Overwhelmed by criticism, his younger version is shown running away from home. Several years later, he became a mercenary, forging a name through countless battles. He eventually returned to the Perdium County to make amends, but found his household already crushed to dust. He remembers the battlefield where the Perdium banner fell, a symbol of how he lost everything. Yet a soft light breaks through the memory, whispering, "But it's still all here." Ghislain now sees the Perdium flag, whole and proud, waving in the wind. A profound realization hits him. All the people I hold dear are still here. He's overwhelmed with disbelief, wanting to sing with joy as Ricardo watches, bemused. But his expression hardens. It's far too early to celebrate this second chance. Ghislain recalls Ricardo's words about raiding orcs, a day he can't ever forget. He knows this very day is when most of the raid squad met their tragic end. In his past life, he joined the orc raid to prove himself, told there were only 3. But upon arrival, they faced a terrifying horde of over 20 orcs, a fatal miscalculation. Ghislain grimly recalls his past stubbornness leading to his squad's demise against the orcs. He believes the orcs are beatable, but worries his men won't trust his command. With newfound resolve, Ghislain eyes a wooden watchtower, sword ready. He swiftly brings his blade down, shattering the tower in a decisive strike. Suddenly, panicked soldiers cry out, "It's the orcs." A terrifying horde of red-skinned orcs charges towards them, weapons raised. The Perdium soldiers hastily form a defensive line, spears pointed at the oncoming threat. Ghislain is shocked, wondering if the orcs arrived this quickly in his past life too. The battlefield erupts into chaos as orcs viciously clash with the unprepared soldiers. An orc brutally smashes through a soldier's shield, sending him reeling from the impact. A desperate command echoes, "Get into formation." Raid Commander Scoven rallies his men, "Do not panic, get into defense formation." Scoven charges, but a brutal orc attack sends soldiers scattering in agony. The commander despairs, ambushed and outnumbered, fearing their imminent demise. A sudden shout of commander pierces through Scoven's grim thoughts. He turns to see a monstrous orc, axe high, about to deliver a fatal blow from behind. The orc's massive axe crashes down, narrowly missing its target in a cloud of debris. Scoven is abruptly yanked aside, his eyes wide with shock at the sudden intervention. Ghislain appears, pulling the commander to safety just as the orc's weapon descends. Scoven stares, utterly dumbfounded by his unexpected savior. Scoven recognizes Ghislain, calling out, "Young master," as Ghislain parries the massive orc's blow. The orc's bloodied hand tightens on its axe, Ghislain's blade locked against it. With a powerful counter, Ghislain sends fragments of the orc's weapon flying. Commander Scoven and a nearby soldier stare, mouths agape at Ghislain's sudden prowess. The red-skinned orc bellows in agony as Ghislain's strike lands true, drawing a spray of dark blood. Ghislain stands resolute as the wounded behemoth stumbles backward, its leg mangled. He glances at his sword, lamenting, "TCH, I guess I can't use mana. I wish I had returned to the past earlier." Ghislain approaches the stunned commander, who still addresses him as "Why, young master." He extends an open palm towards Scoven, firmly stating, "Give it." Scoven, utterly bewildered, asks sorry. As Ghislain demands, the commander writes. Ghislain's eyes gleam with determination, his hand still extended towards the commander. He stands firm before the kneeling Scoven, repeating, "Give me the right to command." Scoven glares, internally scoffing at the young master's audacity in a life-or-death crisis. "I can't," Scoven retorts, rising and turning away, leaving Ghislain momentarily stunned. The commander strides off, lecturing Ghislain that authority isn't a game. As Ghislain watches silently, Ghislain grimaces, annoyed, yet admitting he'd also doubt an idiot asking for command. Suddenly, a hulking red orc, axe raised, charges directly at the two men. Skoven spins, shouting for Ghislain to fall back, deeming him too inexperienced for this threat. With a steely gaze, Ghislain mutters, "I guess I have no choice," as he readies his blade. In a flash, Ghislain strikes Skoven with the hilt of his sword, knocking the commander unconscious. Ricardo grabs Ghislain, furiously demanding, "What do you think you're doing?" Ricardo's face contorts with rage, utterly incensed by Ghislain's actions. Suddenly, Ricardo's fury melts into stunned disbelief as he stares past Ghislain. The charging orc now has Ghislain's sword plunged deep into its skull. Ghislain stands resolute, his white cape flowing, having felled the monstrous orc. The red orc's eyes roll back, life fading as blood streams from its fatal wound. Skoven, now conscious, stares as Ghislain stands over the defeated orc. What? Skoven mutters, baffled. How did he hit his weak spot? Ghislain calmly addresses the commander. "Skoven, right? Do you know the most important thing in battle?" Elsewhere, the brutal battle rages, with soldiers desperately fending off ferocious orcs. Ghislain states, "There's no hope in winning when our troops are filled with fear." With a fierce glint in his eyes, he declares, "We need to gain momentum." Ghislain then leaps into action, his blade ablur as he cuts down another orc. He raises his sword high amidst a field of defeated foes, preparing for another strike. Below, a fresh wave of orcs charges headlong into the soldiers' defensive line. Ghislain intercepts, driving his sword deep into a charging orc skull with brutal efficiency. Nearby soldiers stare, utterly aghast at the young master's shocking display of power. Commander Skoven's eyes widen in disbelief, his jaw practically on the floor. Ghislain, his sword dripping, glares defiantly, "Come at me, orcs." Standing atop a slain beast, he roars, "I'll kill all of you." As more orcs surround him, Ghislain leaps into the horde, sword ready, facing a wall of red orcs. With a whirlwind slash, he cuts down a hulking orcs, blood coursing through the air. He lands smoothly, severing an orc's arm with a precise, upward strike. Commander Skoven, clutching a severed orc hand, stares in disbelief, muttering, "Am I dreaming?" Skoven marvels, "Even as a mana user, it's hard for me. How is that skinny young master doing all this?" Skoven observes Ghislain, bloodied and panting, noting, "I can already tell that he's tired." Yet Ghislain expertly dodges a massive blow, Skoven realizing he's using the smallest of movements to dodge attacks. Skoven continues his analysis as Ghislain strikes an orc's vital point, and using his swordsmanship to strike at their weak spots. A spectral image of a master swordsman overlays Ghislain, as Skoven thinks. Like a mantless sword master, Skoven's eyes widen in awe, contemplating, or perhaps even something greater. Ghislain, bloodied but defiant, roars at the orcs, "Is this all you got? I'm still not warmed up." He taunts them further, "You're not living up to your reputation as a warrior species." While leading a charge of orcs, Ricardo watches, aghast, exclaiming, "All of them are charging at the young master." As a soldier wonders if Ghislain is fleeing, Commander Skoven, now fully armored, sprints towards the fray as Ricardo shouts his name. Skoven, with a grim expression, internally questions Ghislain's reckless strategy. He muses that drawing the orcs' attention was good, but now Ghislain appears to be retreating. Skoven realizes with horror that Ghislain is leading the orcs towards the edge of a cliff. The commander's eyes widen, a dreadful understanding dawning as he processes the cliff revelation. Skoven's face pales, a shocking possibility striking him as he stammers, Don't tell me." Leaping over his men, Skoven urgently commands, "Troops, raise a shield wall." Preparing for an impact, Ricardo, with newfound resolve, fiercely declares, "We'll follow the first son." Ghislain sprints, a massive horde of red orcs thundering dangerously close behind him. Glancing back, Ghislain smirks, "Skoven, I'm sure you've realized my plans if you're a skilled commander." At the cliff's precipice, Ghislain admits his stamina won't let him kill them all himself. Bloodied but confident, he grins, "Even then, this should be enough for you to handle." The relentless orcs, oblivious, charge full tilt towards the unseen drop. Suddenly, the lead orc skid to a halt, eyes wide with shock at the sudden cliff edge. Below, Skoven and his men stand ready, a formidable shield wall bristling with upward pointed spears. A close-up on Ghislain's triumphant, blood-splattered smirk as he whispers, "Perfect." Ghislain leaps gracefully from the cliff, leaving the charging orcs to their fate. Ghislain, midair, signals the perfect moment, shouting, "Now." Commander Skoven roars with fierce determination, "Troops." Below, Skoven commands his men, push them off the cliff. As they shove the orcs, soldiers clash violently, forcing the surprised orcs towards the precipice. Skoven and Ricardo strain, roaring as they heave against the monstrous tide. Orcs tumble helplessly from the cliff's edge, a cascade of doomed beasts. Ghislain, now at the cliff base, engages the falling orcs, his blade finding its mark. An orc plummets headfirst, its terrifying visage rushing towards the unforgiving ground. A brutal impact erupts as the orc crashes, meeting a grisly end. Exhausted soldiers, including Ricardo, gasp in relief. We did it. We managed to kill all those orcs. Scoven screams, young master, peering over the cliff edge in alarm. Ghislain, mid-fall, expertly plunges his sword into the sheer rock face, arresting his descent. Hanging precariously, Ghislain gives a confident, blood-splattered smirk. Scoven stares down, utterly dumbfounded by the young master's audacious move. A flicker of resolve crosses Scoven's face as he processes the situation. Leaning over, Scoven extends his hand, yelling, "Here, grab my hand." Ghislain's grip on the sword falters, his hand slipping as he mutters, "I can't." He loses his hold, plunging downwards as Scoven desperately shouts, "Hold on." Scoven and Ricardo watch in horror, their faces etched with disbelief and panic. Scoven's desperate cry, "Young master," echoes as Ghislain disappears from sight. A young girl's face appears in a hazy void, whispering, "Ghislain Appa." Ghislain, looking younger, stares in confusion, recognizing Elena. Fragments of memory surface, Elena asking if her mom is gone, then thanking him. More fractured memories show and upset Elena questioning him, calling him the worst. Ghislain stands alone in a dark, shimmering space, his hand outstretched. He looks at a glowing shard in his palm, realizing, these are my memories of Elena. Suddenly, a small hand forcefully grabs his shoulder, as Elena shouts, "Appa." A tearful, desperate young Elena clutches his shirt, pleading, "Let's go together." Ghislain gasps, eyes snapping open, finding himself in bed with a cold compress. He lies still, recovering in a simple room, the ordeal seemingly over for now. Ghislain touches his face, realizing, "I'm alive. Looks like they managed to save me." He sits up slightly, hand to his forehead, wondering, was that a dream? A sudden jolt of pain electrifies Ghislain's body as he cries out, "Ugh." He clutches his side, reasoning, my entire body hurts. It must be the consequence of pushing my body to the limit. A voice calls from the doorway, "Master." As Ghislain looks up, startled, a maid with striking white and red hair bursts in, beaming, "You're awake." Ghislain stares, a bead of sweat on his temple as he murmurs, "Belinda?" Belinda turns, placing a basin down, scolding, "You know how worried I was, didn't I tell you? You should have let the soldiers handle the orcs." Without warning, Ghislain lunges forward, embracing Belinda tightly. Belinda, flustered by the sudden hug, stammers, What are you doing? Did I do something wrong?" As Ghislain replies, "No, I'm just glad to see you." Ghislain recalls Belinda, his personal tutor, who always stood by him despite his youthful follies. He remembers losing her after his family's ruin, a single tattered shoe symbolizing her disappearance. Overwhelmed, Ghislain thinks he never imagined seeing her again. As Belinda questions his intense joy, his eyes sharpen with resolve, Ghislain decides he must reveal the truth to Belinda. Grasping her shoulders, he urgently warns, "Listen carefully. A catastrophe will soon strike Perdium." Ghislain prepares to unveil the incredible reality, his lips parting to say, "The truth is." He confesses, "I died and came back to life." But Belinda casually dismisses it as near death from the orcs. Frustrated, Ghislain insists she doesn't understand, questioning if she knows Perdium's grave danger while she titties. Belinda continues to scold him for causing a scene, making Ghislain realize she doesn't believe his dire warning. She then chides him about nearly missing the festival due to his injuries, leaving Ghislain exasperated. Ghislain's eyes widen as he processes Belinda's words, "Festival?" Belinda reminds him Lady Elena has eagerly awaited attending the festival with him. She points to a photo of them as children, suggesting it's a chance to reconnect. Ghislain recalls the annual festival, a familiar event from his past. He picks up the childhood photo, a thoughtful "yeah" escaping his lips. A painful memory surfaces, his past trauma prevented him from ever enjoying such events. He asks about the timing, and Belinda confirms the festival is just 1 week away. A week, Ghislain murmurs, the short time frame weighing heavily on him. A chilling flashback begins. A young girl's voice calls from behind a door, "Appa, are you inside?" On that fateful day, Ghislain's expression hardens, remembering the haunting event that changed everything. The memory intensifies. A tearful young Elena desperately pleads, "Please go with me." In the flashback, a younger Elena peeks hesitantly around a wooden door, her expression somber. Snapping back to the present, Ghislain suddenly embraces a startled young Elena who has just entered. Belinda watches from the doorway, her eyes wide with shock at the unexpected scene. Elena, flustered and blushing in Ghislain's tight hug, demands, What's wrong with you? What kind of prank is this?" Ghislain, eyes closed and holding her gently, murmurs with heartfelt emotion, "I missed you." He coughs, surprised by her strength as she struggles, wondering, has she always been this strong? Elena pulls away, arms crossed and glaring. Belinda asked me to be here. Do you think this makes everything okay? She angrily recounts his past cruel words. I told you to piss off. Just feeling your breath feels disgusting. Ghislain stares in stunned disbelief, utterly confused as he stammers, I said that. Ghislain, hand to his neck, sheepishly admits, I wasn't the closest with Elena. I was a complete piece of shit, sorry. Elena and Belinda stare in disbelief, Elena asking, did your head get hit? He apologized first. Ghislain insists he's fine, but Elena keeps questioning if he was hit, as Belinda watches. A sudden, sharp pain strikes Ghislain, red energy crackling around him as he clutches his chest. He collapses into a deep bow on the floor, groaning, while Elena casually says, come on now. Above, Belinda and Elena smile warmly. Below, Ghislain kneels, looking up thoughtfully. A faint smile plays on Ghislain's lips as he thinks, everyone is as I remember them. His internal monologue continues. Why did the past me waste so much time on useless things? A flashback shows Elena walking towards a festival gate alone, as Ghislain recalls rejecting her invitation. The memory shows a distraught young Elena, tears streaming, desperately pleading. That was the last time I saw her. The horrific memory continues. Elena and her bodyguards met a tragic, violent end. Ghislain, consumed by regret, clenches his shirt, thinking, I should have been with her. As Belinda asks Ghislain if they can properly come in, a knock suddenly sounds at the door. The bodyguards, Jamal and Philip, burst in cheerfully, exclaiming, here you are, Miss Elena. Elena questions their presence, and a bodyguard explains she's needed to oversee festival supplies. Ghislain, still on the floor, looks up confused, wondering why Elena would handle such tasks. Belinda sharply reminds him of his idleness and Perdium's worker shortage, forcing Elena to contribute. Elena announces she's leaving, making Ghislain realize his past ignorance of their difficulties. Ghislain stands decisively, offering, let me help as well, causing Elena to stop in her tracks. Elena turns, her expression a blend of shock and suspicion at his uncharacteristic offer. Belinda and Elena stare, aghast, Elena questioning if Ghislain truly got hit in the head. The scene shifts to an overhead view of the bustling festival grounds, workers hurrying about. Ghislain offers to help, but maids shoo him away, fearing his presence will scare others. Elena yanks Ghislain back, insisting the best help he can offer is staying out of their way. He grimly remembers Elena's body was found in the slums, likely lured or forcibly taken there. Ghislain resolves to learn the castle's layout to prevent her tragic fate this time. Suddenly, a large armored figure dashes towards them, shouting, Ghislain, my lord. Ghislain's eyes widen in recognition, a bead of sweat on his temple as he murmurs, that face. The armored man, old man Fergus, pants heavily, relieved to see Ghislain safe and sound. Fergus explains he rushed over upon hearing about the orc incident. As Ghislain tries to downplay it, Elena cheekily tells Fergus to take the weird Ghislain back to his room, much to Ghislain's annoyance. Frustrated, Ghislain face-bombs, resolving to learn the castle's layout over the next week. He then commands Fergus, take me to the abandoned training field. Ghislain declares with newfound determination to train. Fergus stares, utterly flabbergasted by Ghislain's unprecedented request. Recovering, Fergus simply says, this way, leading him towards an old stone tower. Ghislain looks up, a flicker of surprise crossing his features as they approach. Stepping inside, he's stunned, exclaiming, it's in much better condition than I expected. He surveys the impressive training hall, a perfect spot he never encountered as a mercenary. Fergus reveals they meticulously maintain the facilities, hoping Ghislain might one day use them. Fergus, still skeptical, tells Ghislain, I'm certain what you're going through is just a phase. Ghislain recalls Fergus's unwavering loyalty even in his past life, seeing him diligently cleaning. He murmurs with dawning realization, so that's what happened. Understanding Fergus's quiet dedication, Ghislain places a hand on Fergus's shoulder, earnestly stating, dying really feels like shit. Old man. He cheekily claims actual resurrection, but Fergus dismisses it as enough tomfoolery. Ghislain tells Fergus to head back, announcing, I'm going to start training. While Fergus agrees to wait outside, Ghislain reflects on his past mistakes. I always treated everyone around me like they're my enemies. But I was just short-sighted, he muses, picturing the kind faces of Elena, Belinda, and Fergus. Ghislain looks out, contemplating his limited time. A week, huh? He recalls a crucial detail from his past life. The one behind Elena's death was a lord from a neighboring territory. Ghislain recalls how that lord's actions plunged Perdium into a devastating war, leading to its ultimate ruin. He realizes with grim certainty that Elena's death was the catalyst for his house's tragic demise. With newfound resolve, Ghislain declares he must correct the course of events starting now. His first priority is to improve his physical condition, despite the limited time he has. He grits his teeth, determined that at the very least, he must regain control over mana. Ghislain sits, surrounded by glowing particles, understanding mana as the key to surpassing human limits. He remembers that even amidst chaotic battles, he could sense and absorb mana, a difficult feat for most. His focus sharpens as he visualizes connecting the ambient mana particles around him. Ghislain concentrates, attempting to gather and condense the mana, like spinning thread onto a spool. He reflects that for a veteran of countless battles like himself, this should be achievable. Ghislain confidently states that creating a single mana core is child's play for him. He strains, revealing his ambition was never limited to just one core, unlike ordinary mages. He recalls a unique method learned from a mysterious, half-burned magic tome. Combining this forbidden knowledge with the human's natural mana core, he pushes his limits. Ghislain visualizes forging not just a second, but even a third mana core within himself. He attempts to weave these multiple cores into a connected, powerful internal mesh. This dangerous technique is designed to generate an overwhelming, explosive burst of power. The immense strain causes Ghislain to cry out as blood erupts from his nose and mouth. Coughing, he admits his current body can only handle 3 cores, unlike the 5 in his prime. While this method grants rapid power, it demands an enormous, almost crippling amount of mana. He recalls this mana drain was why he lost to Idun, who brought a whole night order against him. Wiping blood, Ghislain admits the technique is unstable, but his youthful body gives him time. Standing tall in the training hall, he vows, "I'll have your head this time, Idun." He also targets the shadowy figures behind House Dolfini, seated menacingly on a throne. A chilling memory shows these dark entities surrounding Elena, complicit in their county's destruction. Ghislain's eyes blaze with fury as he swears, "I will destroy you all." 1 week later, on the day of the festival, the castle looms under a twilight sky. Ghislain cinches a sturdy belt around his waist, preparing for action. He then firmly attaches a utility pouch, gearing up. Now armed and resolute, Ghislain strides purposefully through the festival grounds. Elena stares, utterly shocked to see Ghislain at the festival. "Wow, you really came," she remarks, noting his unusual presence at such events. Elena smirks, mentioning his recent odd behavior and non-stop training for the past week. Ghislain retorts, "What's wrong with the next-in-line training?" But Elena points out his past indifference. She playfully jabs him, recalling his old complaints about their father and his desire to be lord. "Anyways, I like the way things are now," Elena giggles as Ghislain looks on. She smiles, adding, "It seems like the old you is back." Ghislain turns, a flicker of contemplation in his eyes at her words. His gaze intensifies as he internally reflects, "I've realized something in the past week." He observes Belinda instructing guards, understanding his changed actions are altering his reception and the future. Ghislain muses that while the general flow of events might be the same, small actions have unpredictable consequences. He resolves that using his future knowledge to react effectively to each situation is crucial. With determined eyes, Ghislain visualizes himself making a strategic move on a cosmic chessboard. Confidently, he pats his pouch, declaring, "My preparations are complete." At the festival, Elena happily buys bread while Ghislain stands by her side. Ghislain and a joyful Elena run hand in hand through the bustling festival grounds. As night falls over the castle, Elena sighs contentedly, "That was fun." Resting on some steps, Elena remarks the festival is a bit boring this year, craving something new. Ghislain grows pensive, noting the festival's end nears with no incident, wondering if his presence changed things. A spark of an idea hits Ghislain as he asks Elena, "You want to check out other areas too?" A knight suggests new festival attractions elsewhere, intriguing aboard Elena. Elena excitedly takes the knight's hand, anticipating fun, while Ghislain observes from a distance. Ghislain's gaze sharpens with grim understanding. "So it was you too." He internally identifies Elena's escort knights, their smiles now sinister, as the traitors of our house. He remembers Jamal and Philip as Elena's devoted childhood guardians, once deeply trusted. Ghislain recalls their supposed heroic deaths in his past life, now seen through the deception. The chilling truth solidifies, these very protectors were the ones who orchestrated their downfall. The knights lead them into a shadowy alley, one cheerfully announcing their arrival. An overhead view reveals they've been brought to a deserted, rundown courtyard. Elena voices her confusion at the desolate spot, as a knight awkwardly makes excuses. Elena scoffs at the knight's excuse, "Perform here. Don't make me laugh," while Ghislain watches. Ghislain's eyes narrow, his suspicion confirmed as expected. He analyzes the desolate street, realizing it's more than just an empty alley. Ghislain notes the carefully placed obstacles, clearly designed to block any escape. They prepare this ambush, he thinks, just as Elena grabs his hand, urging, "Let's go, big bro." Elena firmly pulls Ghislain away, declaring, "No thanks. I'm not watching a show here." As the knight protests, Surprised by his resistance, Elena asks, "Do you work out or something? Why are you so strong?" As the knight calls young lady, Elena, annoyed, sharply elbows him in the gut. The knight, Philip, winces in pain, his eyes wide with shock, thinking, "Let's wait a little more." Elena turns, her expression shifting to surprise and concern as she calls out, "PH Philip." Elena, sensing danger, exclaims, "Why you guys are acting strange? What's the matter with you today?" Philip, recovering from the blow, calmly dusts himself off, feigning innocence. "Oh my, I didn't mean to scare you." His demeanor shifts, a sinister grin spreading as he reveals, "It's just that a reasonable request came in." Elena's eyes widen in fear and disbelief, stammering a request. Ghislain senses new arrivals as shadowy figures emerge behind him in the desolate courtyard. 3 mysterious individuals approach, a man in a wide-brimmed hat flanked by 2 cloaked figures. The man, identified as Frank, commends the knights as expected. "Your work process is clean." Philip confirms the deal. "Of course, we've brought the young lady as promised. So let's end it here." Frank eyes Ghislain with mild surprise. Isn't that the eldest son of the Perdium? I don't think I requested him." A terrified Elena nervously pokes Ghislain, who stands resolute before the unfolding treachery. Jamal sneers, offering Ghislain for free, calling him foolish for walking into his own graveyard. Ghislain confronts Jamal. "So you sold us out. You really think you can get away with this?" Jamal scoffs. "Why don't you worry about yourself first? All we have to do is run far away." He reveals their motive. "We were just sick and tired of this impoverished land, tormented by barbarians." Jamal mockingly shrugs. "I'm sure there are plenty of others leaving Perdium besides us anyway, no?" In a flash, Ghislain lunges, his sword piercing Jamal as blood splatters from the traitor knight. Jamal gasps in disbelief, blood at his lips, utterly shocked by the swift attack. Elena and Frank stare, stunned by Ghislain's sudden, decisive action against the traitor. Ghislain stands over the fallen Jamal, declaring, "But at least they never sold us out." His eyes blaze with a chilling blue light as he menacingly asks, "Don't you think?" Philip, enraged by Jamal's defeat, grabs a struggling Elena, shouting, "Jamal, that idiot." Before Philip can react, a sword plunges through his head with deadly precision. Philip's eyes widen in utter disbelief, gasping, "I am possible," as his life fades. Ghislain stands resolute, Elena clinging to him, as Philip's lifeless body slumps to the ground. Frank, surprised, questions his associate, "Are you sure that's the eldest son of Perdium?" The associate confirms, noting Ghislain instantly killed 2 knights, despite their surprise. The scene replays Ghislain's mana-infused attacks, felling both treacherous knights. A terrified Elena clutches Ghislain, her voice trembling, "Be big bro, what's happening right now?" Ghislain remains silent, his expression grimly focused on the remaining threats. As Elena cries out, Ghislain swiftly moves to cover her mouth, silencing her. Ghislain gently lays a now unconscious Elena down, telling her, "Take a little rest." Frank smirks, "Thank you for doing the work for us, eldest son of Perdium," as Ghislain's eyes glow. Surveying the scene, Frank remarks, "You're much different than what I heard. We were planning on taking care of those 2 ourselves." Frank, pipe in hand, coolly asks Ghislain, "Have you been hiding your true skills?" Ghislain, bloodied sword ready, sharply replies, "And what does that matter to you?" He wipes his blade, calmly assessing his 3 remaining opponents. 3, huh? The trio radiates a powerful blue aura, Frank's mana clearly on a different level. Ghislain, his own blue aura flaring, resolves, "I have to end this quickly." Ghislain demands, "Whose request was this?" But Frank scoffs. "Is there a need for the dead man to know that?" Ghislain, unfazed, thinks, "I knew you wouldn't say it so easily. No matter." Ghislain, sword glinting, retorts, "You'll want to spill it soon enough anyway." Frank coldly orders his men, "No, capture him alive and break every limb in his body." A sinister glint in Frank's eye, he adds, "He has to writhe in pain for the shape to come out beautifully." The 2 cloaked figures acknowledge, "Yes, sir," and charge Ghislain with swords drawn. Ghislain, eyes blazing, pulls out a small, unexpected item, a firecracker. He swiftly hurls the firecracker towards his oncoming assailants. One cloaked figure, caught off guard, exclaims, "A firecracker." The firecracker explodes directly in the attacker's face, creating a blinding flash. Ghislain lunges through the smoke, striking down the disoriented figure with a powerful blow. As one foe falls, the other scoffs, "A shallow trick," and moves to flank Ghislain. Ghislain meets the second attacker's blade, sparks flying from the impact. His glowing blue eyes narrow with intense focus, anticipating the next move. He skillfully deflects a swift strike, the cloaked figure pressing the assault. The force of Ghislain's parry sends a shockwave through his opponent's stance. Ghislain whirls, his blood-slick sword ablur, forcing the attacker to dodge. Suddenly, Ghislain senses scream danger from an unseen angle. Frank lunges from above, aiming a decisive blow at Ghislain's exposed head. Ghislain, reacting instantly, blocks the surprise attack with an upward thrust behind him. Frank stares in disbelief. He managed to block my attack in that position. It was a perfect sneak attack, too. Ghislain twists, using Frank's momentum against him, causing the surprise leader to stumble back. Ghislain presses his advantage, aiming a swift strike at Frank's neck. Frank gasps, a thin red line appearing on his throat as his pipe is sliced. The broken pieces of Frank's signature pipe clatter onto the cobblestones. Ghislain's eyes widen in surprise as a powerful counterattack flashes towards him. Frank retaliates fiercely, his own blade crackling with blue energy as it meets Ghislain's. Frank admits, "I'm surprised. If I was lacking in mana, I would have been beheaded just now." Ghislain wonders, how did he survive a strike to his neck? Did he focus mana there? Frank, his hand glowing with mana around his sword, muses, "I have no clue how you learned such strange swordsmanship at that age. But," Frank grins, "if I hadn't enhanced my body with superior mana, my head would be rolling." He continues, his mana-infused sword glinting. "I don't know where you learned such strange swordsmanship." Frank, cloaked in radiating power, scoffs, "But you can't beat me with such feeble mana." His eye blazing with blue light, Frank roars, "You will die here." Ghislain, unfazed, crosses his glowing swords with a confident, almost predatory smirk. Frank's eye widens in disbelief. He's smiling? Ghislain explodes into motion, ducking under Frank's swing to deliver a counter. A brutal slash connects, Ghislain's blade tearing across Frank's face, drawing blood. Frank stumbles back, clutching his wounded face as Ghislain calmly observes. Wiping blood, Frank taunts, "Didn't I tell you? It won't work with that amount of mana." Suddenly, Frank's expression shifts, blood trickling from his lips as a dark red aura flares. Frank coughs violently, blood splattering as he staggers, his sword dropping to the ground. Frank, clutching his bleeding face, stammers, what just happened?" The power of his attack is different. As Frank kneels in shock, Ghislain states, "I never expected there to be a true culprit behind Elena's death." Ghislain, now radiating a menacing dark red aura, declares, "So it was you." His eyes blazing with purple light, Ghislain announces, "Prepare yourself. Third core unleashed." Frank recoils, exclaiming, what the? How did you boost your mana so greatly?" Ghislain lunges, bringing both swords down in a powerful overhead strike towards Frank. Frank's eyes widen in alarm as he registers Ghislain's blinding speed, thinking, "He's fast." Ghislain unleashes a relentless barrage of slashes, overwhelming Frank's defenses. Ghislain, with intense focus, winds up for another devastating attack. A sweeping red arc shows Ghislain delivering a powerful, precise slash at Frank. Frank grits his teeth, exclaiming, "This is impossible. My hands are turning numb just from blocking his strikes." His sword begins to crack under the relentless assault. As Frank notes, mana usually has limited effect. Frank, utterly bewildered, shouts, "I've never heard of a method that increases mana so explosively like this." Ghislain, eyes blazing purple within his crimson aura, seems transformed into a different person. Ghislain's empowered strike shatters Frank's blade, a shard reflecting Frank's shocked eye. The force of Ghislain's attack sends Frank reeling backwards, his defense completely broken. Blood erupts from multiple deep gashes across Frank's chest and face. Ghislain's purple eyes narrow with cold fury as he presses his overwhelming advantage. Another devastating slash from Ghislain connects, carving a bloody path across Frank's torso. Frank lets out a choke scream of agony, blood spraying from his mouth as he's brutalized. Ghislain lands a brutal punch, sending blood flying from Frank's distorted face. Lifting Frank by the throat, Ghislain declares, "Let's finish our conversation from before. Shall we?" Ghislain, his grip tightening, demands, "Who's the one who requested this?" Frank, defiant, snarls, "Ugh. I'm not going down so easily," as he reaches for a hidden blade. He lunges, vowing, "I will at least take the young lady of Perdium with me." With a desperate cry of "Die," Frank thrusts the concealed dagger forward. Suddenly, glowing red threads ensnare Frank's arm, halting his attack mid-strike. Frank, caught in the threads, weakly suggests, "How about we make a deal?" Ghislain's eyes narrow. "Don't try anything useless. Answer my question, and I'll sheath my sword." Frank struggles, exclaiming, "Are these threads created with mana? I can't move." "When did he make such?" Ghislain, surrounded by lingering blue mana and red threads, calmly addresses the ensnared Frank. Ghislain presses a blade to Frank's chest, saying, "I'm sure someone of your caliber would know how to patch yourself up." With purple eyes blazing, Ghislain adds, "Though, that wouldn't matter if I destroyed your mana core." Frank's eyes widen in terror, screaming, "What?" as he realizes Ghislain's intent. Ghislain thrusts the blade deeper, directly targeting Frank's glowing mana core. Frank lets out a horrifying shriek as red energy violently erupts from his body. Frank cries out in despair, "And my mana is scattering," as his blue core shatters. Frank desperately warns, Are you out of your mind? One wrong move and the backflow of mana could cause an explosion. Ghislain, unfazed, coolly replies, that's for the unskilled. I can manage it. Frank stares in disbelief, golden cracks appearing on his skin, muttering, this guy's not bluffing. Frank's eye reflects a grim skull as he realizes, I will die. Breaking under pressure, Frank screams, it was Count Desmond. He confesses Desmond wanted a pretext for war against the Perdium and Degardi families. Ghislain's eyes narrow, coldly processing, so it was Desmond. Ghislain recalls how Duke Delphini previously used allied families for such dark deeds. So that's why you wanted to kill Elena, huh? Ghislain presses and Frank gasps. Why yes? With the confession secured, Ghislain twists the blade deeper, eliciting a brutal reaction. Frank shrieks, what are you doing? This is different from what you said earlier. Ghislain scoffs, scared now that it's your turn. After all the lives you've taken? A chilling glint in Ghislain's eyes suggests Frank's ordeal is far from over. Frank, bloodied, taunts Ghislain. Nothing will change if you kill me. My work with Degardi is done. He continues, do you think anyone listens to a punk like you? Perdium will perish in the war. Ghislain, holding Frank's face, calmly states, let me tell you something. I was reborn after dying. With a determined gaze, Ghislain declares, so it will be different this time. Frank screams in agony as Ghislain twists the blade, his monocore violently erupting. A brilliant purple beam of energy erupts from Frank, piercing the night sky. The energy explodes outwards, a blinding flash of purple light engulfing the area. Ghislain stands resolute, twin swords at his side, a grim scene painted on the wall behind him. The aftermath reveals several of Frank's men, defeated and gasping on the blood-stained cobblestones. One of the fallen men struggles for breath, his face a mask of pain and exhaustion. Ghislain, splattered with blood, glances back, the fight's toll evident on his face. He stands amidst the carnage, Elena lying unconscious before him, a grim tableau on the wall. His bloodied sword stands embedded in the cobblestones, a monument to the brutal clash. Ghislain exhales, sweat and blood mingling as he catches his breath after the intense battle. Suddenly, a wave of pain hits him, his body reacting to the immense power he unleashed. He stumbles to his knees, coughing violently as the strain of the fight takes its toll. Damn it, he thinks, recalling that exploding 3 cores was never an issue as the Mercenary King. Determined, Ghislain pushes himself up, vowing, I won't fall like this, and stumbles towards a building. He bursts through a door into a rec room, finding the figures covered in bloodied sheets. Panting, Ghislain remembers, in my previous life, they found another body besides Elena at this place. A flashback reveals Count Desmond, his back to us, contemplating his family crest. Ghislain uncovers one body, revealing the bloodied face of the son of Degardi. He realizes these two were killed and framed to ignite a war. The tattered banner of war looms if this conspiracy is exposed. Ghislain decides to erase this fabricated evidence, pulling out a vial. Carrying Elena, he walks through the burning chaos, vowing, I won't let things happen as you intend. From a rooftop, a mysterious hooded figure silently observes Ghislain's escape. The figure watches Ghislain retreat, the mission clearly compromised. A stark declaration appears, IT was a failure. In a dark chamber, a council berates a subordinate. You couldn't even take care of just one girl. The hooded subordinate kneels, stammering, it was. He glares, blaming. It was all because of Ghislain Perdium. A council member scoffs, Ghislain, that useless bastard of the north. Another dismisses the excuse. Are you really using him as an excuse? The subordinate insists. He was completely different from the information and rumors we have about him. A flashback shows Ghislain, eyes sharp, sword ready for action. The subordinate recalls Ghislain's ferocious combat, overwhelming Frank's forces. Ghislain's deadly precision is remembered, a skull reflected in his determined eye. The memory of Frank's agonizing end as Ghislain destroyed his core flashes vividly. As Ghislain carried Elena away, the subordinate realized. It was as if he was a completely different person. The subordinate pleads, we've handled Degardi, the war can proceed, just one more chance. A council member erupts, silence. Your intel failure on one kid caused a massive setback. With cold fury, the council orders, eliminate him. As the subordinate cowers, suddenly a new, authoritative voice cuts through the tension. How noisy. A mysterious robed figure appears, looking down upon the scene from above. Bathed in a menacing red glow, the figure asks, yes, what kind of chance do you desire? The subordinate, seizing the opportunity, fiercely vows, I will eliminate Ghislain Perdium. How? The figure inquires, to which the subordinate replies, I'll arrange a natural duel. With glowing eyes, the subordinate reveals, there's someone specific I have in mind. The shadowy figure leans in, intrigued, who as the council watches. The subordinate reveals his choice. His name is Cain Loges, famous for strength-based swordsmanship. He continues, despite his young age, he's the epitome of strength, unmatched in the north. The subordinate adds, plus, Cain is Ghislain's cousin, so arranging their meeting won't be forced. The council members listen silently, considering this new strategy. The robed figure looms, darkly stating, if you fail again. A close-up on the figure's menacing eye finishes the thought. There will be no next time. The scene shifts to the Perdium Castle Training Hall, a grand stone building. An armored knight approaches. Excuse me, young master. It's approaching Multi. Suddenly, a swirling vortex of blue energy erupts from nearby. The knight recoils in shock as a sword pulses with intense blue light. The glowing sword hurtles through the air, directly at the startled knight. A firm hand grips another sword, its blade also radiating intense blue energy. Ghislain finishes his practice swings, declaring, "All right, that should do." He glances aside with a curious noticing the knight's presence. A old man Fergus, Ghislain greets as Fergus apologizes for interrupting his focused training. Fergus, eyes wide with astonishment, asks, "How did you do that just now?" Ghislain casually gestures to his upright, glowing sword. This. He demonstrates, manipulating glowing strands from his fingertips, mana thread. It's using mana like a string. Ghislain recalls his past life. I used it all the time, but now, lacking mana. It requires core implosion for full power. He smirks, but a single thread. I can manage that even with less mana. Fergus, astounded, admits, I thought I had trained my mana for a long time, but I've never seen something like this. He muses that just a while ago, Ghislain didn't use mana, let alone train. Wondering how he conceived this, Ghislain casually asks, anyway, did you want something from me? As Fergus hesitates. Fergus finally states, I just wanted to stop by to say this, as Ghislain looks on, curious. Standing tall, Fergus sincerely thanks Ghislain for protecting the young lady. Ghislain seems taken aback, questioning, you're thanking me? He humbly replies, it was just something I should have done. Ghislain suggests, let's go eat. As the scene transitions to the castle, a few days have passed. The festival grounds are deserted. It was paused because a guard knight tried to traffic the young lady. Elena, pouting at a table, complains. Everyone thinks I'm lying when I say that you were the one who saved me. Elena urges Ghislain, you should go say something to them, but he calmly dismisses it. It's fine. They won't believe us anyway. Belinda fumes, those bastards. I knew they were perverts. Recalling Jamal and Philip's attempt on Elena, Ghislain sits calmly, the crucial fact remaining, Elena lived. He reflects, I was able to stop the war from happening, but knows I'm sure they won't give up. Ghislain's eyes narrow with resolve. I can't stop them on my own forever. I need to grow a military force. A maid pushing a food cart enters, accompanied by a knight, announcing, excuse me. As the maid serves him, Ghislain internally strategizes. I have to get more into politics in order to do that. A single, meager slice of bread is placed before him on a stark white plate. Ghislain's eyes widen, glowing faintly blue, clearly taken aback by the sparse meal. He questions Belinda. Why are we getting dessert first, only for her to wryly reply dessert? You know how our situation is. Ghislain recoils in surprise as a commotion erupts outside the castle window. A large merchant bellows. Compensate the damages you have caused with the cancellation of the festival. An angry mob, armed with tools, storms the castle gates, chanting, compensate. One protester shouts, come on out, you people are swimming in money, aren't you? As a guard tries to calm them. Ghislain peers out the window, alarmed, wondering, what the hell's going on? Belinda, her expression troubled, turns to Ghislain, sighing, I knew they'd do this. She explains, you know that our county is full of merchants who make a living from the festival profits, right? Belinda continues, since the festival was cancelled after just one day. It makes sense that they're upset. Ghislain, sweating slightly, asks with concern, is the county situation that bad? He grimly assesses, this isn't good. They'll only get more aggressive if I don't do anything. Ghislain, looking down at the chaos, demands Fergus send soldiers to control the mob. Fergus calmly replies, we don't have any, shocking Ghislain. He clarifies most soldiers are rebuilding the Forest of Monsters post after the orc raid. Ghislain grimaces, recalling the fierce battle that diverted their forces. A map reveals Perdium's constant threat from northern barbarians and the monster-filled forest. Ghislain grits his teeth, realizing their dire situation. No money, no soldiers, what a mess. He abruptly pulls Belinda aside, declaring, Belinda, let's talk, as Elena watches, puzzled. Ghislain confronts Belinda. You manage my money, right? Let's use it to appease these merchants. Belinda, with a strained smile, bluntly states, there isn't any. When Ghislain asks why, she reminds him the Count cut his allowance due to his lavish spending. Ghislain stares blankly. Wait, then I don't have any money at all. I'm broke. He turns to Belinda, pleading, lend me some money, but she smirks. I don't have any. Ghislain sits dejectedly by the window, muttering, damn it, no money, no soldiers. What do we have? He clenches his fist. Without even the least amount of money, there's nothing I can do. Even if I have knowledge about the future, I'm going to need money first. Ghislain sprints down a hallway, thinking, is there no way? Isn't there something on the estate that? Suddenly, a knight bursts through a doorway, shouting, young master, startling Ghislain. Ghislain turns, recognizing the panting knight, Ricardo. What is it? You're in such a hurry. Ricardo, sweating and wide-eyed, exclaims, there's a problem. Young Master Cain wishes to see you. Ghislain's eyes widen, glowing faintly blue, as he repeats, Cain, a grim understanding dawning. A battered and bruised knight, his face swollen and bloody, glares defiantly. A brutal fist connects with the knight's face, blood spraying from the impact. The attacker's knuckles, bloodied and raw, are clenched in a tight fist. Another devastating punch lands, the victim's features contorting in agony. The beaten knight chokes out a pain puke as he collapses. Ghislain stands grimly at a doorway, sword at his side, over a fallen guard. The guard, looking up weakly at Ghislain, gasps, young master. Ghislain's eyes flare with a cold, blue light, his expression hardening. His intense gaze locks onto a figure. There you are. Ghislain now faces a towering, muscular man who dwarfs him. The man, Cain, smirks confidently. Hey, Ghislain. Ghislain recalls Cain, the heir of their allied Loges County. Cain Loges, a formidable figure, stands with a sword slung over his shoulder. Ghislain reflects on Cain, once his only friend, now a complex enemy. Cain strides past another fallen guard, approaching Ghislain with an imposing presence. Ghislain urgently questions Ricardo about the unfolding chaos. Ricardo, visibly shaken, begins to explain they responded to a tavern disturbance. He recounts finding Cain at the wrecked tavern, who questioned them about Ghislain. Commander Scoven had apparently detailed the rumors surrounding Ghislain to Cain. Suddenly, Cain violently seized Commander Scoven by the face. Cain glares, accusing Scoven, you dare lie before the heir of Loges. Ricardo concludes, and that was how it happened, his face etched with worry. Cain interjects, telling Ricardo to reveal Scoven's claims. Ghislain, untrained, defeated an orc and traitorous knights. Cain smirks over the battered Commander Scoven, saying he just gave him a wake-up call. Towering over Ghislain, Cain declares, this wouldn't have happened if you didn't lie in the first place. Ghislain remains silent, his gaze fixed and unreadable. Ghislain recalls Cain's true nature. Yes, he was this kind of guy, always treating him as inferior. A flashback shows Cain causing chaos in Perdium with Ghislain powerless to intervene. Ghislain reflects grimly. No one looked down upon Cain. Unlike Ghislain, who was always burdened by an inferiority complex, standing alone in shadow. Cain, however, exuded confidence, his bold demeanor praised his qualities befitting an heir. Ghislain reflects that his quiet demeanor often led to more criticism. Cain observes Ghislain's unusual silence, a stark contrast to his usual reactions. Cain smirks, noting, look at this guy, usually he would have charged at me with this much provocation. The scene shifts to a flashback, a while ago, Loges County, showing a grand estate at night. Inside, Cain sits, shocked by a proposal. What? Kill Ghislain. A mysterious cloaked figure offers if you succeed in this task, the esteemed one will support the Loges family. Cain considers it's not hard to deal with a punk like him, but Ghislain is an heir. How am I supposed to eliminate him? The cloaked figure proposes lure Ghislain into a duel disguised as an accident, a trivial dispute between heirs. The figure leans in, emphasizing, this is an uncommon opportunity, even for you. Cain looks down, contemplating the grim reality to think that I'd have to kill my own cousin. Ghislain, with knuckles cracking and a decisive smirk, Cain agrees to the grim proposal. Let's get this started then. He glances back, pondering the assassin's true motive. Are they after him because he's different now? A cunning smile touches Cain's lips as a thought forms. If that's the situation. Snapping back to the present, Ghislain calmly confronts the destructive Cain. What exactly are you doing? Cain scoffs, demanding over the fallen knight. Enough standing around. Bring me what you've prepared. He leans in, a glint in his eye. The festival's a bust, so let's make our own fun, eh? His gaze intensifies as he presses Ghislain. Or am I mistaken, old friend? Ghislain stands unfazed before Cain, hands casually in his pockets, sword ready at his hip. A spark of realization crosses Ghislain's face as he responds. You mean that? Ghislain internally notes Cain's usual crass demands, right? He always expected alcohol and women upon his arrival. Ghislain recalls giving in to Cain's demands to avoid beatings, but not anymore. resentful of the wasted money. A flashback shows a maid reminding Ghislain his father cut his funds due to excessive spending. Ghislain's expression shifts, a new resolve hardening his features. His eyes flare blue as a realization dawns. It was here all this time. Kane's reflection appears in Ghislain's eye, labeled my source of money. Kane bellows, "Hey, Ghislain," trying to intimidate him. Kane impatiently orders Ghislain, "If you remember, then you better bring them right now. Can't you see me waiting?" Kane smirks, expecting Ghislain to comply. "Yeah, of course. I better bring them right now. But," Ghislain, eyes blazing, coolly counters, "Don't you have a debt to repay to me?" Kane stares back, utterly bewildered by Ghislain's unexpected question. Kane stares blankly, questioning, "Repay for what?" Ghislain calmly states, "Everything I prepared for you was with my money. Pay it back, 1,000 gold. Principal plus interest." Kane sputters, 1,000 gold. That barely cost 100. He argues, "You did it because you were grateful for my friendship. It's a friendship fee." Ghislain scoffs, "Friendship? I've been your doormat," making Kane flinch. With a chilling smile, Ghislain demands, "Pay up before I beat you. I need money." Ricardo, aghast, stammers, "Why, young master? What are you saying?" Amidst the disarray, Kane's foot slams forward, a clear sign of his rising anger. He glares down, acting bold, "Because I've been easy on you, huh?" Kane yanks Ghislain's hair, sneering, "Believing your own rumors. You're just a parasite." Kane clenches his fist. "This is why everyone calls you a scoundrel, spouting empty nonsense." Towering over Ghislain, Kane roars, "Get yourself together," as he prepares to strike. Ghislain's head remains bowed, his expression hidden as Kane's attack looms. Kane throws a powerful right hook, aiming to put Ghislain in his place. Ricardo and the battered Scoven watch in stunned disbelief at the unfolding confrontation. "You little," Kane yells, but Ghislain, eyes blazing blue, deftly sidesteps the blow. Ghislain catches Kane's fist midair, his own hand glowing with a faint red energy, shocking Kane. Kane's eyes widen in disbelief, as his attack is effortlessly stopped. With sudden force, Ghislain slams his forehead into Kane's face in a brutal headbutt. Kane stumbles back, clutching his now bloody nose, Ghislain still gripping his fist. Ghislain's eyes narrow with resolve, his fist still ready after the brutal headbutt. Kane collapses to his hands and knees, stunned by Ghislain's sudden counterattack. Ricardo rushes to Kane's side, anxiously asking, "Young master, are you all right?" as Kane groans. Ghislain coolly tells Kane, "Get up, stop whining. I know you blocked that shot." Kane, enraged, glares up from the floor, shouting, "Stand back, Ghislain. What do you think you're doing?" Onlookers gasp in disbelief, wondering if Ghislain truly overpowered the formidable Kane. A knowing smirk plays on Ghislain's lips as he utters a simple "aha." Kane, surprisingly, mirrors Ghislain's smirk. "So that's how you want to play, huh?" Kane, still on the ground, looks up at Ghislain with a cunning expression, asking, "How do you like my acting?" The cloaked figure materializes beside Kane, praising, "It was excellent. You've set the stage perfectly to make Ghislain the villain." Kane clenches his uniform, determined to impress his new, powerful backers. A flashback reveals the cloaked figure promising Lodge's family support for this very task. Kane believes this is the perfect moment to cut ties with the failing Perdium. He dramatically draws a dagger, accusing Ghislain of lies and attacking him for seeking truth. But before Kane can fully issue a challenge, Ghislain's hand smothers his words. Ghislain, towering over the kneeling Kane, declares, "I challenge you to a duel, Kane Lodges." Kane stares up, utterly stunned by Ghislain's audacious move. Ghislain coldly lists Kane's offenses. "You insulted me, the heir, before Perdium's people." He then gestures to the fallen Scoven, "and assaulted my knight, disgracing nobility." Ghislain's eyes flare with blue light as he presses, "You won't deny these charges, will you?" Kane, still kneeling, processes Ghislain's bold challenge, the cloaked figure looming behind. A sinister smirk spreads across Kane's face as he mocks Ghislain's supposed foolishness. Kane's hand tightens on his dagger, decisively accepting the duel. With a menacing glare, Kane warns Ghislain not to regret this, even if it means death. Ghislain meets Kane's threat with unwavering resolve, his blue eyes fixed and intense. Ghislain turns his attention, calling out to Ricardo, who is still aiding the injured Scoven. Ricardo looks startled as Ghislain orders him to gather the protesting merchants. A confident Ghislain promises the merchants a chance to make significant money. The festive atmosphere abruptly vanishes as the town's festival is suddenly cancelled. Disappointed tourists linger, unable to leave, as a chill settles over the once lively streets. Ghislain notes the tourists are restless, unable to spend their money or time. He believes an event to suit them is exactly what's needed, his eyes gleaming. Ghislain stands confidently in a makeshift arena, the crowd buzzing around him. The crowd roars, it's a duel between young Master Kane and Ghislain, as bets fly for Kane. Merchant sees the opportunity, hawking wares to the gathered spectators. A large man enthusiastically calls for bets. Now, bet your money here. Coins rain down as people eagerly wager on Cain, calling it the safest bet. A large sword slams point first into the wooden platform, marking the duel's start. A muscular man in a grand coat appears, questioning, "How dare you turn a sacred duel into a marketplace?" He glares, warning, "Let me make this clear. My sword won't stop even if you surrender." Ghislain coolly acknowledges the man's serious tone, right? The imposing man suspects Ghislain has a deeper motive for this duel. Ghislain, unfazed, declares to the gathered crowd, "Let's begin." Suddenly, a cloaked figure steps onto the platform, catching Ghislain's attention. The figure, sword in hand, announces, "I don't think a proper bet can proceed at this rate." Onlookers and the bookie exchange puzzled glances at this interruption. The nervous bookie stammers, "Well, nobody bet their money on Duke Ghislain, so." Ghislain remains silent, listening intently to the unfolding situation. The crowd jeers, convinced Ghislain has no chance against Cain, demanding someone bet on him. Cain smirks across the arena, taunting Ghislain, "Yikes. Even the marketplace is ignoring you." The cloaked figure proposes changing the bet to how long Ghislain can last against Cain. Suddenly, a heavily armored man slams a hefty bag of coins onto the betting table. He boldly declares, "I'll bet on Duke Ghislain," shocking the nervous bookie. Ghislain watches this unexpected turn with a faint, almost imperceptible smirk. Another, even larger sack of money thuds onto the table, drawing more attention. Two young women, one blonde and one with striking white and red hair, step forward. "I'd like to bet on my big brother, too." Ghislain's eyes widen slightly, clearly surprised by their sudden appearance and support. The crowd and bookie gasp in recognition. Lady Elena. Elena confidently asks if her bet is enough, as her companion reminds her she advised against it. The bookie stammers it's plenty. The cloaked figure who first interrupted the betting turns, his gaze fixed on Elena and her companion. Cain scoffs, annoyed, "Making me wait for no reason." Impatiently, Cain declares, "Then, get ready." Ghislain smirks, "You know, I am older than you, after all. It'd look strange for me to make the first move, right?" Ghislain calmly draws his own gleaming sword. With a swift motion, he unsheathes the blade. Ghislain stands poised, sword at the ready, a determined look on his face. His blue eyes blaze as he firmly states, "Come at me." Cain stares back, his yellow eyes narrowed in silent contemplation. Cain lunges forward, retorting, "Don't you think it's too late for you to act like the older one?" The duel erupts as the word start flashes across the scene. Cain's foot slams onto the wooden platform, launching his attack. He brings his massive sword down in a powerful arcing swing. Ghislain meets the colossal blade with his own, sparks flying at the impact. A close-up reveals Ghislain's eye, wide with exertion as he parries the blow. Cain roars, "You've already stooped too low to save face now." Ghislain is forced back, skillfully deflecting the sheer force of Cain's strike. Cain relentlessly pursues, his sword narrowly missing as Ghislain ducks low. The larger man raises his weapon again, preparing another devastating overhead chop. Ghislain dodges just in time as Cain's sword shatters the platform beneath. The crowd erupts, as expected of young Master Cain. He won't even endure one hit. Cain smirks, utterly confident in his overwhelming power. Ghislain, amidst the dust of the shattered platform, remains remarkably composed. Elena's companion panics. "Young lady, we have to stop them." But Elena stays silent. The cloaked figure declares it's too late, the moment they cross swords with Cain. They're trapped. He explains Cain's tactic, overwhelmed with power, forcing opponents to only evade and meet their end. The figure concludes, "Cain has always won that way." Cain unleashes a furious barrage of strikes, Ghislain a blur as he expertly dodges. "You're slippery as ever," Cain sneers. "It seems your skills have indeed grown." Cain parries a counter, his own sword vibrating. Makes sense. He then taunts, "You were always good at running away, even back in the old days." Cain unleashes a vicious horizontal slash, intent on ending the fight. Ghislain defies gravity, vaulting high above the sweeping blade. "Young master," cries Elena's companion, horror etched on the crowd's faces. Cain's eyes gleam with triumph. "It's over, Ghislain." With a furious die, Cain aims a crushing stomp at the downed Ghislain. Beneath the shadow of Cain's descending foot, Ghislain remains strangely composed. Suddenly, Ghislain's eyes flare an icy blue. "I wanted to go easy on you, but you crossed the line." His voice echoes with newfound power. Ghislain explodes from his prone position, rocketing towards Cain with his sword. His sword arcs upwards, blue energy crackling around his determined eyes. Cain's eyes widen in disbelief, red question marks appearing as he looks down. Ghislain, now a blur of blue energy, slides beneath Cain's attack, stabilizing himself. A close-up on Cain's face reveals pure shock and gritted teeth. The cloaked figure gasps, realizing Ghislain condensed mana into his legs for stability. Ghislain lets out a breath, a subtle smirk playing on his lips as he regains his footing. He stands, coolly addressing Kane's back. Such ignorant swordsmanship. Ghislain turns, his gaze intense. Allow me to open your eyes. Kane's face contorts in fury, veins bulging as he processes the taunt. Oh, yeah, Kane roars, bringing his massive blade down. And how are you gonna do that? Ghislain takes a firm step forward, ready to meet the challenge head-on. Kane's massive sword crashes down, met by Ghislain's swift block. Ghislain is sent flying, flipping over Kane's head in a wide arc. Suddenly, Ghislain seems to be everywhere, a flurry of attacks overwhelming Kane. Kane bellows, a streak of blue energy narrowly missing his face. Ghislain lands a solid kick to Kane's exposed side, dodging another wild swing. Their blades clash again, Ghislain expertly deflecting Kane's brute force. Ghislain's eyes gleam with cold precision, his sword a blur of motion. Kane stumbles, brought to his knees as Ghislain presses his advantage. A serene, almost detached expression settles on Ghislain's face. Defeated, Kane kneels, bloodied, his weapon fallen before him. The crowd stares, mouths agape at the sudden, shocking turn of events. Onlookers exclaim, Duke Ghislain has improved so much, as Kane remains defeated. Elena smirks knowingly, see? While her companion is completely stunned. The cloaked figure closes his eyes, a chilling realization dawning. He jolts, eyes wide, as the full implication of Ghislain's power hits him. Kane gasps, noticing his wounds are deliberately shallow, questioning Ghislain's intent. How could that punk? Kane groans, unable to comprehend Ghislain's swordsmanship. Ghislain stands impassively, looking down at his fallen, bewildered opponent. A silent, steely gaze from Ghislain meets Kane's profound disbelief. With a flick, Ghislain sends his sword hovering, Kane watching in stunned silence. Ghislain declares the skill gap too wide for entertainment, his sword splitting and embedding in the ground. He turns his back, announcing, I'll be fighting barehanded from now on. Kane's eyes widen in pure disbelief and fury. What? Ghislain faces his down opponent. I thought I should use this opportunity to educate you today. He clenches his fist, adding with chilling calm, with my bare knuckles. Kane, still kneeling, glares up, sneering, educate me. Ghislain rolls up his sleeve, offering a handicap, a barehanded fight, Kane's specialty. With a confident smirk, Ghislain raises the stakes, betting another 2,000 gold on his victory. The crowd erupts in shocked whispers, barehanded, 2,000 gold. This is a duel. The cloaked figure stares, utterly aghast and sweating at Ghislain's audacious declaration. The cloaked figure grins, thinking Ghislain's insanity might actually be their lucky break. An announcer bellows, place your additional bets. Barehanded Ghislain versus Kane. The crowd buzzes, some calling Ghislain foolish, others reconsidering their bets. Ghislain stands resolute, inspiring a spectator to shout, I'm betting on young Lord Ghislain. Kane, still on the ground, scoffs, hee, barehanded. You make me laugh. He reaches for his fallen sword. Sure, fight without a weapon if you wish. Kane dramatically tosses his massive blade high into the air. With a roar, Kane catches his sword, declaring, I will use the sword. Ghislain glances back, seemingly unconcerned by Kane's decision. Elena's companion yells, What an asshole. Young lord, pick up your sword too. Kane swings his enormous blade down with furious intent. Ghislain, unfazed, thinks as I thought, I need to knock some sense into you. The massive sword crashes towards Ghislain, who prepares to meet it barehanded. Kane's blade narrowly misses as Ghislain ducks beneath the ferocious swing. Ghislain's feet move with blurring speed, sidestepping the attack. A blue blur indicates Ghislain easily evading Kane's telegraphed downward strike. Ghislain closes the distance, landing a powerful fist into Kane's exposed torso. His eyes narrow with cold determination, fist already recoiling for another blow. Ghislain unleashes a devastating uppercut, connecting squarely with Kane's chin. Kane's head snaps back, blood spraying from the sheer force of Ghislain's punch. Kane collapses to his knees, groaning, his sword propping him up. Disoriented, Kane stares upwards, utterly bewildered by the assault. He sees Ghislain, a menacing silhouette, questioning his impossible movements. Spectators gasp, that was spicy, as some realize Ghislain might actually win. Ghislain smirks, get up. I haven't even gotten started. Kane's face contorts in a furious, pain grimace. With a desperate roar, Kane launches himself into a wild, arcing sword swing. Ghislain effortlessly sidesteps the telegraphed attack, a blur of motion. Ghislain lands another brutal punch to Kane's face, who rages about past deference. Ghislain seizes Kane's sword arm, ready to strike again as Kane recalls his previous dominance. Ghislain grips Kane's arm, delivering a brutal body blow with his free fist. Kane, bloodied, desperately thinks, I must kill you for my family's future. A furious barrage of punches rains down upon Cain, each blow finding its mark. Ghislain's relentless assault continues, Cain completely overwhelmed by the flurry. Cain collapses, face down and battered, gasping out a bewildered, "Why?" Ghislain yanks Cain's head up by the hair, forcing him to meet his gaze. Looking down at the broken man, Ghislain coldly states, "I pity your father." Ghislain reveals, "Count Loge's aided Perdium, even near ruin from loyalty to my father." His eyes narrow as he adds, "But his son, Cain, clearly had other plans." Cain's battered face twists, a flicker of dawning comprehension in his swollen eyes. The scene shifts, revealing a past where Count Loge's support for Perdium was questioned. Advisors pleaded with the Count, calling his aid to a withering land a futile effort. He turned then, facing a younger, concerned Cain during these difficult discussions. Young Cain's face showed silent disapproval, his thoughts hidden, but clearly troubled. "Don't go, father," pleaded the boy, clutching at his father's grand attire. He passionately questioned why his father persisted despite everyone's opposition. Count Loge simply stated his unwavering reason, "It's just because we are friends." Back in the present, Cain's bloodied face reflects the weight of this revealed loyalty. Ghislain's fist connects again, as if driving home that pure, selfless motive. The devastating impact underscores the brutal lesson Cain is receiving. Ghislain asks if the lesson was sufficient, Cain's eye wide with shock. Ghislain offers a hand to his defeated opponent, telling him to rise. Cain, bruised and broken, stares at the unexpected gesture of sportsmanship. Overwhelmed, Cain's head slumps forward in utter defeat. Before the stunned arena, Cain formally concedes, "I admit my defeat." Spectators are frozen in disbelief, their expressions a mixture of awe and shock. The cloaked figure cedes, his eyes wide with fury as his scheme crumbles. "Young Lord Ghislain has won," echoes through the arena, amidst cheers and groans. Elena and her companions erupt in joyous celebration for Ghislain's victory. Suddenly, a figure in blue robes stomps forcefully onto the arena floor near Cain. The blue-robed figure furiously berates the defeated Cain for conceding. Cain, exhausted, tells the figure to let go, declaring he's finished. Seething, the robed man curses Cain, calling him a weak little brat. Ghislain suddenly appears behind the enraged figure, calmly saying, "Now." With a knowing smile, Ghislain declares he must do what's necessary. The robed man turns, utterly bewildered by Ghislain's sudden intervention. Ghislain announces to the arena that the robed man will treat everyone to a feast. The blue-robed figure stares in disbelief, his face a mask of pure shock. Cheers erupt from the crowd, thrilled by the promise of meat and drinks. Outraged, the robed man confronts Ghislain, demanding he retract the statement. Ghislain firmly grips the blue-robed man's shoulder, his expression unyielding. "This is the price for losing the duel," Ghislain states, clarifying it's separate from the bet. He tightens his hold, reminding the man to add 2,000 gold to their original wager. Ghislain's eyes glow menacingly as he warns, "If you run, you know what will happen." The robed man's eye reflects pure terror, Ghislain's intimidating aura overwhelming him. Defeated, the robed man stammers, "Understood," as Ghislain coolly walks away. The scene transitions to a grand, imposing castle, signifying a change in location. Text appears the next day, in Ghislain's room, focusing on an ornate window. A heavy object thuds onto a table inside Ghislain's quarters. Ghislain stares in astonishment at a chest overflowing with gleaming gold coins. Ghislain muses he could hire a small mercenary corps with this substantial sum. He realizes growing money takes time, and his business plans require faster preparation. Suddenly, two familiar smiling faces appear behind him in his room. Ghislain turns, a bead of sweat on his brow, asking, "What is it?" Elena, with a curious smile, asks her big bro his plans for all that gold. He cheekily asks if she wants some, but Elena quickly clarifies she's just curious. The silver-haired companion chimes in, confidently stating it's obvious where he'll spend it. She suggests it's for Lady Amelia's upcoming birthday, an expensive gift after his grand display. "You're so transparent," she teases, as Elena cringes at him trying to impress his fiancé. Ghislain stares back, utterly dumbfounded, exclaiming, "I have a fiancé." Ghislain sits stunned, a speech bubble exclaiming, "I had a fiancé?" The silver-haired girl teases, "Don't be shy. We know you're thinking of Amelia from Rayfold County." Ghislain's eyes narrow, a flicker of intense recollection crossing his face. A menacing, spider-like emblem with a glowing red eye appears as he thinks that woman. The name Amelia Rayfold flashes ominously across the screen. An apple, perfect in reflection, but rotten in reality, symbolizes Amelia once beloved, later the Witch of the North. And worse, she allied with the Delphini Duchy, sealing Perdium's doom. Ghislain's eye glows with fury as he realizes a traitor. A subtle, knowing smirk plays on Ghislain's lips, hinting at a plan. Back in his room, Ghislain calmly asks Belinda when his father returning. Belinda informs him his father returns in a week, Ghislain thinks, a week should be enough. Ghislain announces he'll be visiting Rayfold County, shocking Belinda, who asks why. As it's not her birthday yet, he turns with a sly smile, declaring his intention to get money from them. A flashback shows a younger Amelia, hair flowing, gently offering a pair of shoes. Amelia, with a spider emblem on her chin, looks down intently, commanding, wear them. The scene shows Amelia kneeling before a small, barefoot girl, a crowd watching in stunned silence. The little girl, eyes wide and dirty, stammers in awe, Lady Amelia. Amelia declares, if anyone has to walk barefooted on my land, it should be me. She then orders her guards, provide food and shelter for them right away, and they respond, yes, m'lady. Guards are seen distributing crates and barrels to a grateful crowd, who exclaim in wonder. Amelia walks barefoot, her guards behind her, as the crowd gratefully chants, thank you. Later, in Rayfold County, Amelia's garden, a man kneels, gently washing her feet. This is Amelia's escort knight, Burnif, who commends her. Great job today, m'lady. Amelia, petting a fluffy white cat, muses, my father, he had always demanded absolute obedience. She continues, stroking the purring cat, but the common folk will always follow the one who keeps them warm and well fed. Burnif looks up intently, declaring, with this, you have won the people's hearts, boosting her succession chances. Amelia, the spider emblem prominent on her chin, remains silent, her red eyes unreadable. Unexpectedly, Amelia's foot lashes out, striking Burnif hard across the face. As Burnif reels from the impact, Amelia, legs still extended, demands, what happened in the duel against the finest sword of the north? Burnif, lowering his head near her foot, explains, my apologies. It was to avoid needless attention to you, m'lady. Amelia warns Burnif, it is not yet the time to reveal your claws, as he gently holds her foot. Burnif kisses her foot with devotion, affirming, because my blade is yours. Amelia, spider emblem on her chin, replies coolly, of course, I've invested so much to raise you. Her hand then grips Burnif's chin, forcing his gaze upwards. Leaning close, her red eyes blazing, Amelia commands, you're not allowed to be weak. The scene shifts to an opulent building as Amelia inquires about the merchants. Burnif assures her about the Arctium Merchants Guild. Burnif explains their guild profits by supplying Perdium's reconstruction, recouping Rayfold's support funds. He adds they're recruiting experienced soldiers and knights deserting Perdium, bolstering their forces. Amelia, stroking her cat, orders him to maintain the guild's facade. We cannot let our true identity be exposed. An older, formally dressed man suddenly appears in the garden, announcing, please excuse me. Interrupting them. Burnif angrily questions the interruption, but the man announces Ghislain Perdium's arrival. Amelia, spider emblem on her chin, scoffs. Why would that punk come here? The flustered attendant struggles to explain Ghislain's unexpected visit. Burnif relays Ghislain's message. He wants to discuss the Merchant Guild. The scene transitions to an elegant, richly decorated visitor's room. Ghislain now sits opposite Amelia, who still cradles her white cat. Casually holding a flower, Ghislain greets her with a simple, hello, Amelia. Amelia glares intensely, her cat hissing fiercely in response to Ghislain's presence. She chides him for his unannounced arrival, questioning his manners. Ghislain smirks, stating he's early with her birthday gift. Ghislain places the flower, remarking, I picked one up from the Merchant Guild ahead, and the fragrance is quite nice. He then casually asks, what was the name again? The Arctium Merchant Guild, I believe. Amelia's red eyes narrow, a silent, intense scrutiny directed at Ghislain. She dismissively states, I'm not sure what you're trying to say, as she begins to rise. Amelia turns to depart, cat in arms, curtly saying, now that I've received your gift, I'll be off. Goodbye. Ghislain's voice, firm and commanding, cuts through the air. Amelia Rayfold, sit down. A close-up reveals Amelia's shocked red eye, reflecting an unseen, powerful aura. The teacup before Ghislain trembles violently, its contents rippling under immense pressure. Amelia glances back, stunned, thinking, from the very guy who used to squirm. Ghislain looks directly at her, stating his demand. Let's get straight to the point. Give me 10,000 gold. Amelia's red eyes widen in disbelief, exclaiming, what? She questions if his demand for a large sum is Count Perdium's will, but Ghislain clarifies, my father has nothing to do with this. Ghislain, stirring his tea, coolly adds, and you're not planning to marry me anyway, no? Amelia's eyes narrow intensely, a silent fury brewing within her. Ghislain mentions her escort knight, then warns her about word spreading of her secret power building in Rayfold. Suddenly, Amelia's white cat snarls, its eyes glowing a menacing yellow. The cat, now monstrously large, leaps towards Ghislain, who remains unfazed. Amelia, her expression stern, warns Ghislain, you shouldn't say something like that, not even as a joke. Ghislain smirks, threatening to expose her if he leaves empty-handed, but Amelia retorts, "Oh no. That won't happen." Amelia firmly calls out, "Burnif," as the grand doors behind Ghislain swing open. Burnif strides purposefully into the room, his presence formidable. He calmly greets Ghislain. "It's been a while, young Lord Ghislain," as Amelia watches. Ghislain internally notes, "Burnif? He's the guy who has always stayed by Amelia's side." Burnif's silhouette, wreathed in dark energy, reveals his reputation as a skilled individual, comparable to the North's finest. Ghislain taunts, "If I die here, a war may break out. Are you sure you can handle that?" Amelia coolly replies, "Of course." Amelia outlines her plan. A sudden ruffian barged in, caused chaos, and was killed by the hand of the escort knight. With a chilling gaze, Amelia, spider emblem prominent, commands Burnif, "Kill that man." Burnif, sword at the ready, responds with unwavering loyalty, "As you wish, my lady." Ghislain, after a moment of silence, mutters, "If that's how you want to play." His expression hardening, Ghislain declares, hand on his own sword. "Then I have no choice but to get a little serious." Ghislain draws his sword as Burnif, blade raised, leaps to strike. Burnif's eyes narrow with deadly intent, a slight smirk on his lips. Ghislain's sharp blue eyes reflect the sudden, intense confrontation. Still seated, Ghislain grips his sword, bracing for the imminent clash. Suddenly, a masked assassin lunges from above, aiming a swift blow at Ghislain. The assassin's strike lands with a powerful impact, shattering the air. Ghislain narrowly dodges as the assassin swings a heavy piece of furniture. Burnif follows up with a brutal kick, sending Ghislain reeling backwards. Ghislain, though airborne, hurls an object, causing a destructive blast against the wall. Amelia and Burnif stare in stunned disbelief at Ghislain's unexpected counter. Ghislain scoffs, "An assassin, huh?" feigning politeness while launching a surprise attack. He dodges Burnif's swift sword strike, remarking, "What poor hospitality." Their blades clash violently, sparks flying as Ghislain parries Burnif's assault. Ghislain glares, his blue eyes blazing. Does Rayfold not know of chivalry? Burnif retorts, "You were rude first, young Lord Ghislain," unsettling the lady. Burnif's internal monologue begins, "There's no need." He continues aloud, "To be polite to such a person in the first place." As their swords meet again, Burnif swings his glowing blade with immense force, aiming to overwhelm Ghislain. Ghislain ducks low, the powerful arc of Burnif's sword whizzing just above him. Ghislain hits the floor, narrowly evading Burnif's follow-through strike. Ghislain kneels, sword braced, as Burnif unleashes another powerful sword strike. Burnif, surprised, thinks, "Young Lord Ghislain, I heard he had no real skill." Ghislain rises, an unexpected aura flaring as Burnif realizes, but it seems he's no rookie. Amelia impatiently scolds Burnif. "What are you doing against a punk like that?" Her eyes blazing, Amelia commands, "Hurry and bring me his head, if you're truly my sword." Burnif pauses, his resolve hardening under Amelia's intense gaze. He raises his gleaming sword, vowing, "I won't disappoint you." Eyes glowing red, Burnif challenges Ghislain, "Come forth." Ghislain smirks, "You, an escort knight, dare to order me around." Facing Burnif on the stairs, Ghislain retorts, "I did you a favor, but if you insist." Ghislain grips his sword as Burnif declares from across the hall, "I'll do as you wish." Burnif surges forward, his blade a blur of blue energy in a swift, arcing strike. Ghislain's eye widens, reflecting the incoming deadly assault. With incredible agility, Ghislain twists his body, Burnif's powerful slash missing by a hair's breadth. A smirk plays on Ghislain's lips, his eyes glowing blue as he thinks, "This guy, he's fast." A fresh scratch on his cheek. Burnif's eyes narrow with fierce determination, focused intently on his target. The two warriors become a whirlwind of motion, their blades meeting in a rapid exchange of blows. Amelia stares in disbelief, wondering how the lousy punk Ghislain can match Burnif. Her shock turns to fury, her red eyes blazing with the unspoken word. But their swords clash once more, Burnif unleashing another powerful, blue-infused attack. Ghislain expertly deflects Burnif's glowing blade, their swords locked in a struggle. Burnif presses his assault, his blue-streaked sword cutting a wide arc through the air. Burnif's eyes narrow, his hand reaching out as if to grasp victory. Ghislain swiftly drops, Burnif's next attack whizzing over his head. The force of Burnif's swing is immense, but Ghislain evades by a hair's breadth. Ghislain, looking up with a smirk, taunts, "That again?" Seizing the opening, Ghislain executes a swift leg sweep, aiming to topple his opponent. Ghislain's eyes blaze with focus as he commits to the unexpected maneuver. Caught by surprise, Burnif stumbles, his balance broken by Ghislain's low attack. Burnif glares, his eyes glowing fiercely. It won't work twice. Burnif twists mid-fall, aiming a powerful kick down at the grounded Ghislain. Ghislain grunts, bracing himself as dust and debris fly from the impact. Recovering instantly, Burnif brings his sword down in a vicious overhead slash. Ghislain barely blocks the crushing blow, his own sword pressed against the floor. The force of Burnif's strike sends Ghislain tumbling backwards across the room. Ghislain, observing Burnif, thinks, I see. He's enduring this using mana, huh? Burnif acknowledges Ghislain's skill. You're quite different from what I've heard. He questions Ghislain's unrefined style. Did you adopt barbarian tactics from combat? Burnif confidently states, such a method might work on a battlefield, but not against me. With a chilling gaze, Burnif declares, your deviation ends here. Ghislain internally admits, as expected, this is difficult. He analyzes Burnif's precise head-targeting thrust and close-range power. Ghislain concedes Burnif is a formidable foe, thinking, but you see. He resolves, I don't have much time either, as a light emanates from his hand. Ghislain unleashes a thin, glowing mana thread with a flick of his fingers. Burnif, startled, exclaims internally mana as the thread approaches. He turns, questioning, thread, as the blue energy whips towards him. The mana thread strikes Burnif's head, drawing blood as his eyes widen in pain. Ghislain seizes the moment, kicking Burnif and sending his sword flying. Ghislain lands a devastating punch, sending Burnif reeling. Burnif stares in utter shock, blood streaming from his head, thinking, What did he just? Amelia screams Burnif in terror, a small spider visible on her lip. Ghislain snatches up Burnif's sword, poising it high over his down opponent. He brings the blade down in a powerful, blue energy-infused strike aimed at Burnif. Burnif's eyes widen in alarm as the lethal sword arcs towards him. Astonishingly, Burnif parries the blow, his own blade suddenly reappearing to meet Ghislain's. Burnif shoves Ghislain back, creating space as he regains his footing. He glances at Amelia, urgently warning, M'lady, you need to get out of here. I cannot guarantee your safety. Burnif's eyes burn with fierce determination as he declares, from now on, I'll give it my all. Ghislain silently observes Burnif's newfound resolve, his own expression unreadable. Ghislain's thought bubble appears, now that's what I like to see. His blue eyes gleam as he admits, I haven't met such an entertaining opponent in a long time. Amelia, clutching her cat, flees down the corridor with determined strides. Her face contorts in fury, a spider still on her lip. Ghislain, how dare he cause me such humiliation? As she runs, Amelia wonders who leaked guild information to that madman Ghislain. She recalls rumors of his past victories, questioning if his feats were more than just luck. Amelia grits her teeth, exclaiming internally, damn it, as her eye twitches. She glances back, desperately wondering, what on earth are the guards I stationed in advance doing? Amelia stops dead, staring at a lone, cloaked figure standing amidst numerous fallen guards. The mysterious figure, draped in a dark, red-lined cloak, turns slightly, revealing a hint of white hair. The cloaked figure reveals striking pink eyes, greeting Amelia, it's been a while, lady. Amelia stammers in disbelief. Perdium's maid. Why are you? The maid, her face still mostly hidden, simply whispers, shh. Suddenly, the maid is behind Amelia, a sharp blade pressed to her throat, commanding, quiet. Amelia's eyes widen in terror, the spider still prominent on her lip as the cold steel touches her skin. With a flick of her knife, the maid dislodges the spider, remarking, goodness, you still have this unpleasant spider on your lips. The maid recalls eavesdropping during an engagement ceremony, mentioning Count Rayfold. A flashback reveals a young Amelia using spiders to exact revenge on her tormenting siblings. The maid muses aloud about Amelia's motives, whether it's trauma or self-assertion, while keeping the knife steady. She concludes, forgive me for saying this, but it doesn't suit you, my lady. As the dislodged spider shatters on the floor, the maid firmly crushes the spider underfoot, a crimson effect emphasizing the impact. As the spider shatters, the maid politely asks Amelia, may I ask for your cooperation? Meanwhile, Ghislain and Burnif stand ready, the latter radiating a powerful blue aura. Ghislain observes Burnif, noting internally, the air is rough. Burnif unleashes a torrent of mana, prompting Ghislain to acknowledge. Such an overwhelming amount of mana. Burnif scoffs at Ghislain's earlier remark, an entertaining opponent, you say. He questions Ghislain's noble status, that sounds like something a lowly mercenary would say. Ghislain retorts confidently, of course I'm a noble, questioning Burnif's place to judge. The two warriors face off, Burnif's intense blue energy filling the room. Their blades collide in a brilliant flash of power as Burnif addresses young Lord Ghislain. Burnif's eyes blaze as he shouts, do not disgrace the nobility. He unleashes a barrage of mana spears, forcing Ghislain onto the defensive. Ghislain's eyes widen, surprised by the sheer intensity of Burnif's assault. Burnif presses his advantage, their blades clashing as Ghislain is driven back. Ghislain grits his teeth, narrowly avoiding a powerful blue energy strike. This guy, Ghislain thinks, struggling against Burnif's relentless power. Burnif continues his fierce offensive, pushing Ghislain with a flurry of blows. Ghislain, with renewed determination, declares enough with that. He charges forward, sword glowing, ready to counter Burnif's onslaught. Ghislain swings his blade in a powerful, arcing slash aimed at Burnif. Burnif, with unwavering focus, meets Ghislain's glowing blade head-on. Their swords clash, blue energy crackling as Burnif expertly deflects the blow. Burnif's grip tightens, his rapier a blur against Ghislain's powerful strike. Burnif stands firm, turning Ghislain's momentum against him in a skillful parry. Ghislain's eyes widen in surprise as Burnif addresses him. Young Lord Ghislain. Burnif declares with chilling certainty that right there was your final attack. His blade pulsing with power. A colossal wave of blue energy erupts from Burnif, engulfing the dueling figures. Crimson splatters violently, a stark contrast against a blinding white flash. Burnif stares in stunned silence, his face spattered with blood, eyes wide with disbelief. Ghislain reveals he took the hit, using his shoulder to deflect Burnif's blade. Ghislain brings his blade down with force, but Burnif meets it with a swift parry. Burnif, eyes narrowed, admits, "Indeed, it seems I cannot let my guard down until the very end." However, Burnif declares, as their blades lock in a dance of blue energy. Ghislain's powerful downward slash is expertly deflected by Burnif's rapier. Burnif states coldly, "This is the difference between me and a man who wields his blade for entertainment." Burnif lunges forward, forcing Ghislain to retreat from the sharp, glowing rapier. A slight smirk plays on Ghislain's lips despite the intense pressure. Ghislain, bloody but thrilled, exclaims, as expected, "This is entertaining." Ghislain internally analyzes Burnif's overwhelming speed, range, and consecutive attacks that control the fight. He realizes Burnif's deceptive blade-locking technique means, with my current mana, I can't counter his strength. Ghislain clarifies, "But by that, I mean the mana I have right at this moment." Burnif grips his sword, lamenting, "It's a shame that I have to bring him down here." Ghislain, now radiating a fierce red aura, declares, "There's one thing you overlooked." His eyes blaze as a crimson core ignites on his chest. "And that is my unique mana cultivation technique." Ghislain launches himself, red energy flaring, third core. Unleashed, he roars, descending upon Burnif with a crimson streak blade. His hands tighten on his sword, channeling the surging red power. Ghislain's glowing red sword dives towards Burnif's ready blue rapier. Red and blue energies trail their blades, poised for a cataclysmic impact. Their swords collide in a blinding explosion of red and blue power. Burnif's rapier, tipped with blood, is driven hard into the ground. A battered Burnif looks up, acknowledging, "Young Lord Ghislain." He marvels internally at Ghislain's explosive mana control even in the heat of battle. Suddenly, a sharp command cuts through the tension. "Stop." Burnif's eyes widen as a blade hovers menacingly before his face. Ghislain stands victorious, his sword at Burnif's throat, while the maid restrains Amelia. Amelia, tears in her eyes, brandishes a dagger, desperately offering 10,000 gold. "Take it and leave." Ghislain, bloody but unfazed, sighs, "HMPH, what a hassle." He tells Burnif, "It would have been simpler if you cooperated earlier." The maid remarks to Ghislain, "Isn't this a bit much for a lover's quarrel, young master?" as he dismisses it as a difference in opinion. Ghislain, holding Amelia hostage, delivers some unfortunate news. He smirks, declaring, "The fee just went up to 20,000 gold." Elsewhere, a scene of carnage reveals multiple guards defeated on a grand staircase. The camera pans over a wrecked room, debris scattered across the floor. A close-up shows a porcelain object shattering violently into pieces. In an opulent room, a noblewoman stares at the broken mess as a man stands by. The man apologizes, admitting he underestimated Ghislain's advanced level mana. The noblewoman, with a strange mark on her neck, muses, "Ghislain Perdium, he's changed, huh?" Her attendant grimly asks if she wishes to report this to the Delphini Duchy. She turns on him sharply, clearly displeased with the situation. The noblewoman fiercely grabs her attendant, warning, "Watch your mouth. Don't you understand how scary Duke Delphini is?" She reveals her secret alliance with Duke Delphini to usurp Perdium. Fearing exposure means death by her siblings. Her eyes blaze with resolve. "We have to do whatever it takes to kill Ghislain." The attendant, with a grim expression, simply replies, "Understood." He then reports on Ghislain's condition. "I managed to leave light injuries on many parts of his body and a heavy one on his shoulder." The attendant adds that Ghislain's explosive mana use will leave him weakened for some time. His gaze narrows, a silent, however, hanging in the air. The noblewoman, pointing to a map, states, "To not leave any traces. We cannot use the knights from our land," she declares. "That's why we have them trained for times like this." As her attendant looks on in dawning realization, his eyes widen in shock. "You don't mean using the wildcats?" As an image of hooded figures under a fierce, glowing eye appears. The attendant's face hardens, a shadowy, cloaked figure looming behind him. A pin marks a spot on the map as text reveals the wildcats are war orphans and outcast. Natural-born specialist. The noblewoman commands, send a dozen mana-proficient wildcats there. I see. The attendant murmurs, his eyes wide with comprehension of her deadly plan. The target is a narrow ravine, the sole passage from Refold territory to Perdium. This remote, tight terrain is described as perfect for quietly handling things. With grim resolve, the attendant declares, I will get them prepared. As the name Ghislain hangs in the air, the noblewoman smirks, relishing the gift of chaos Ghislain has unwittingly presented her. Meanwhile, Ghislain rips off his tattered shirt, revealing his muscular, injured torso. His gaze sharpens as he senses a presence, murmuring, is it Amelia? Ghislain assesses his wounds, noting the cuts aren't deep despite his overexertion. He reflects that Amelia's 20,000 gold will save years in rebuilding his territory. Killing Amelia, he muses, would have sparked an unavoidable war, a risk too great. With Perdium already battling barbarians, Ghislain decides backing off is the prudent choice. He knows his discovery of the Arctium Merchants Guild's secret will be a heavy burden for Amelia. Ghislain, resolute, declares, this time, I will make good use of you. His white-haired companion appears before him, awaiting his attention. Inside the carriage, she questions if events are unfolding exactly as he predicted. She recounts his orders, subdue the guards and take Lady Amelia hostage. Ghislain, slightly perplexed, replies, yeah. I did say that, but I told Fergus to do that. Ghislain's eyes widen in sudden agony as red energy flares around him. He collapses in the carriage, Fergus crying out, young master, in alarm. Ghislain examines his bloodied hand, recognizing the recoil from opening his third core. He clenches his fist, determined to find a way to increase his mana quickly. As a hand reaches for his, Belinda, Ghislain asks as she gently takes his injured hand. Belinda, holding a small knife, observes the flow of mana in your body is a mess. With focused intensity, she channels her own mana into Ghislain's hand, purple energy crackling. Ghislain's eye widens in disbelief, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. This is. His face contorts in utter shock as he feels an unfamiliar sensation. A powerful stream of pure mana flows directly into Ghislain's core from Belinda's touch. Ghislain marvels as his tangled mana pathways begin to clear, a feat requiring profound understanding. He always suspected Belinda was more than an ordinary maid, ever since his mother brought her. Yet, her true identity and reasons for serving in the countryside remain a mystery to him. Ghislain muses that gathering skilled individuals is crucial for what's to come. He knows the challenges faced so far are merely the prelude to greater trials. As their carriage speeds on, Fergus calls out to his recovering young master. Belinda pledges unconditional trust, then questions Ghislain's motive for taking Amelia's money. Ghislain nonchalantly explains he needed funds and Amelia was the only wealthy person he knew. Both Fergus and Belinda are utterly flabbergasted by his simplistic reasoning. Belinda worries about Count Refold's wrath, but Ghislain assures her Amelia can't reveal the truth. Ghislain confidently asks Belinda, you trust me, right? Belinda, flustered, presses him. Then, surely, you tell me what you're going to use the money for. Ghislain's lips curve slightly as he prepares to reveal his ambitious plan. Belinda's eyes widen in disbelief as Ghislain utters two words, the forest of beast. An ominous vision of the dark forest appears, filled with countless glowing red eyes. Ghislain, resolute, declares to his companions, I will pioneer the forest of beast. Fergus immediately objects, young master, you can't. Attempts to develop it have failed for generations. Ghislain calmly counters, old man Fergus, do you remember my request before we entered the castle? Fergus looks at Ghislain, a bead of sweat on his brow, as a memory seems to surface. Ghislain clenches his fist, a determined glint in his eye, ready to enact his bold strategy. Fergus confirms, yes, the person you asked me to find was indeed at the location you mentioned. But, Ghislain insists, as long as he's alive, it's fine. But Belinda urges him to return home due to his condition. Ghislain challenges Belinda. Do you really think Amelia would let us go easily after what we've done to her? He predicts Amelia will try to kill him, prompting Belinda to offer her fighting skills. Belinda flexes, but Ghislain clarifies, you're reliable, but that's not your role. It's a different field. Ghislain's eyes gleam with purpose as he states, I need a vanguard. Their carriage speeds through a desolate landscape, Ghislain announcing, and we're on our way to meet him. A powerful knock echoes as someone pounds on a weathered wooden door. They arrive at a rundown house, Fergus noting, the address says it's here. Despite its abandoned look, the door creaks open, a sliver of darkness hinting at who, or what, lies within. A hulking, white-haired man with a wolfish tail peers from the doorway. His weathered face scowls as he gruffly asks, who is this? Ghislain's group stands before him, assessing the imposing figure. Belinda whispers her doubts about his condition, but Ghislain affirms no, this is the right place. The man's weary eye, half hidden by matted hair, glares out. He dismisses them. Are you bored? Young noble, don't waste my time and get lost. Ghislain confidently identifies him, the ex-captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries. Ghislain calls out, and a faint blue glow emanates from Gillian's eye. Gillian's eye widens, a flicker of recognition crossing his stern face. Ghislain extends a hand, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. I've longed to see you. Fergus and another knight react in shock. The Ratatosk mercenaries. A pile of diverse weapons illustrates their renown. Only masters of most weapons could join. Though disbanded, their bravery was legendary, their name known even in foreign lands. And the captain of that formidable group was none other than Ghislain. Ghislain, hands still extended, calmly states, I came to meet you. Without warning, Ghislain swings a massive axe with blue energy trailing its path. Ghislain, with incredible speed, just barely dodges the brutal downward slash. Fergus, the other knight, and Belinda stare in wide-eyed disbelief at the sudden assault. Ghislain lowers his hand slightly. I see. So you know me. Fergus and the other knight draw their swords, ready to defend Ghislain against the imposing Ghislain. Ghislain, eyes blazing with purple energy, demands, state your business. Belinda shields Ghislain, daggers drawn, warning, that man is not in his right mind. The former captain mutters ominously about the eternal punishment, a small inset showing his past shock. Ghislain calmly declares, I know the cure to the incurable illness your daughter is suffering from. A confident smirk plays on Ghislain's lips as he asks, does that pique your interest? A vision reveals a young girl afflicted by a terrible sickness, high fever, and coughing blood. The horrifying disease manifests as red spots blooming like flowers, causing immense, writhing pain. This agonizing condition, aptly named eternal punishment, leaves its victim in constant torment. The hulking man despairs over his daughter's sickness. His anguished cries filling the room as Ghislain's group watches. Clutching his ailing daughter, Ghislain screams her name, Rachel. As Ghislain observes intently, Ghislain, with unwavering resolve, declares it's not too late. He recalls a grim past. Ghislain, lost to despair after his daughter's death, took his own life. Ghislain observes the desolate house, noting Ghislain spent everything on his daughter, leaving only weapons. Rachel, Ghislain's daughter, writhes in agony, begging for death as her father cries her name. Ghislain, wasting no time, prepares to begin the treatment immediately. Suddenly, Belinda's hand firmly grasps Ghislain's shoulder, halting him. Belinda, her expression grave, urges, let's go back, young master. She points to Rachel's afflicted feet, questioning how Ghislain can cure a divine punishment even priests couldn't. Ghislain confidently pulls away, asserting, I can fix her, as Belinda cries out his name. He turns to Belinda, a knowing look in his eyes. You said you trust me, right? Belinda stares, momentarily stunned by Ghislain's unwavering confidence. Ghislain hands her a folded paper, saying, here, take this. He instructs her, purchase all the medicinal herbs on that list and come back. Belinda unfolds the list, her eyes widening in disbelief at its contents. Ghislain explains that for mercenaries like him, knowledge meant survival. He reveals eternal punishment. Though incurable now, a cure will be discovered in the future. Ghislain, recalling the recipe, states he remembers it clearly. The only hurdle, he notes, was the extremely high cost of the ingredients. He holds up a glowing purple plant, identifying it as Fairy's Blessing. Ghislain begins preparing the remedy, detailing the steps to create the cure. Ghislain carefully shakes the jar, the Fairy's Blessing shimmering within. He then adds the remaining ingredients, stirring the concoction as his companions observe. A small vial of glowing purple liquid is presented to Ghislain, whose eyes fixate on it. Ghislain instructs the desperate father, have her drink this. The potent remedy is gently brought to Rachel's lips, her skin still marred by the illness. Ghislain tenderly cradles his daughter, administering the cure with a trembling hand. Rachel lies still, the crimson blemishes stark against her pale skin. A faint glow emanates from the marks on Rachel's face as the potion takes effect. Miraculously, the horrifying red spots begin to recede from her skin. Rachel rests peacefully, the signs of her torment fading, as everyone watches in hopeful silence. Fergus and Belinda watch in awe, exclaiming, the red spots they're fading away. Ghislain, overcome, stares at Rachel. Rachel, the medicine really worked. Ghislain calmly states, as expected, it works well, as Ghislain turns in shock. How did you? Ghislain stammers, not even divine power could cure her. Ghislain explains, the priest's divine power isn't omnipotent. It's different from a fundamental cure. Ghislain's hands tremble, with a mix of disbelief and burgeoning hope. Then, the massive warrior kneels, clutching Ghislain's arm. Can my daughter really be cured? Ghislain reassures him with a confident smile. In a couple of months, I guarantee you, She will be cured. A single tear of hope escapes Ghislain's eye, his weathered face showing profound relief. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ghislain bows deeply before Ghislain, his massive frame trembling. Ghislain, still prostrated, asks, "What would you like from me?" He humbly offers, however, "All I have left is this useless body of mine." With fierce determination, Ghislain vows, "If you need me to be your dog, I shall be." Ghislain calmly replies, "No, I don't need a slave. What I need is Ghislain, the captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries." Ghislain extends his hand, offering to help the massive warrior rise. Ghislain looks up, a spark of recognition in his eyes. Are those eyes? A close-up reveals Ghislain's intense, purple gaze, the eyes of a dreamer. Suddenly, Ghislain grabs his long, thick braid of white hair. With a swift motion, he brings an axe down towards his own hair. The severed braid thuds heavily onto the wooden floor, a symbol of a new beginning. Ghislain stands resolute, flanked by a transformed Ghislain, Belinda, and Fergus. Belinda and Fergus stare in utter disbelief, exclaiming, "How could it be?" Ghislain, his short hair wild and aura blazing, is declared completely different from before. With newfound purpose, Ghislain strides forward, his powerful frame radiating energy. Ghislain turns, his gaze sharp. "Anyone else with you, or who might come looking?" Ghislain calmly assures him, "No, it's just us." "Any grudges against you?" Ghislain presses, to which Ghislain smirks, "I do. And more to come." Ghislain grips his spear, a fierce blue energy crackling. In that case, with immense force, Ghislain slams the butt of his spear into the wooden floor. The impact shatters the floorboards, sending a shockwave through the room. Ghislain leaps, spear first, blasting a hole through the wall with blue energy. He swings his spear with ferocious speed, his white hair whipping around him. The spear connects with an unseen target, erupting in a blinding flash of power. In a flash, Ghislain yanks a hooded figure upwards, ensnared by his spear's cord. Ghislain's powerful hand closes around the intruder's throat, cutting off their breath. Lifting the captive effortlessly, Ghislain demands, "Who sent you?" The hooded figure, bloodied and shocked, gasps, How did you?" Ghislain presents the captive to Ghislain, who calmly states, "I can already tell who sent him." Ghislain draws his blade, remarking, "I didn't want to use my blade on a day like this, but..." As Ghislain prepares to strike, Ghislain's hand gently stops his arm. Ghislain, his eyes blazing, firmly states, "Please, leave this to me." The captive chokes as Ghislain's grip tightens, their face contorted in pain. A swift, unseen action dispatches the intruder with brutal efficiency. Ghislain and Belinda silently observe Ghislain, the aftermath of his deed settling in. Belinda inwardly questions Ghislain's choice, noting Ghislain's ruthless decisiveness. Ghislain kneels once more before Ghislain, addressing him with newfound respect. With unwavering resolve, Ghislain declares, "From now on, I shall leave my life in your hands." Ghislain internally acknowledges securing a vital asset for his future plans. A confident smirk plays on Ghislain's lips. "I look forward to working with you, Ghislain." Elsewhere, news spreads through the darkness. A reconnaissance unit has been killed. In a dark, dilapidated room, cloaked figures murmur in disbelief. "What? How foolish." Their imposing, masked leader sharply commands, "Quiet." Vigo, captain of the Wildcat traffickers, orders his men to lower their voices. To subordinates quickly offer their apologies to their captain. One questions their intel, wondering how Ghislain could have possibly killed their reconnaissance unit. The shocking news is delivered. It seems that Ghislain has joined his group. Vigo violently grabs the informant by the hood. A sudden surge of intensity. Leaning in, a menacing red glint in his eye, Vigo demands, "Are you sure?" The terrified subordinate stammers, "Why yes, I saw it with my own eyes." Vigo's face twists into a fierce grin. "Ghislain, finally, you're starting to make a move." "My former captain." Ghislain now drives a heavily armed carriage, thundering forward with purpose. Inside, Belinda complains, "It's suffocating in here," clearly unimpressed. She questions Ghislain's arsenal. Did that guy really have to bring so much stuff? Ghislain calmly explains, "We needed to buy one to bring Rachel comfortably anyway, so it's fine." Meanwhile, Fergus and Ricardo are shown managing the rear guard in a separate carriage. Ghislain smirks, assuring Belinda, he has a use for all of it, so bear with it for now. Their immediate goal is clear. The most important thing at hand is to escape this rift. The weapon-laden carriage, driven by Ghislain, races through the stormy night. Belinda then asks Ghislain, "Young master, about the watcher we caught. He must have been sent by Lady Amelia, right?" With a worried expression, Belinda concludes, "This could be trouble." Ghislain reveals the watcher's mask belonged to the Wildcat traffickers, a powerful Rayfold guild. The Wildcat traffickers hug. Ghislain murmurs, his expression hardening. Belinda elaborates on their vile traits: smuggling, assassination, drug and human trafficking. She calls them filthy scum, a shadowy guild of skilled ex-mercenaries with significant combat power. Ghislain playfully questions Belinda's extensive knowledge, who awkwardly claims she just heard things. Flustered, Belinda urgently warns Ghislain, in any case, they're persistent, so be careful. A confident smirk plays on Ghislain's lips as he considers her warning. Belinda, however, quickly reassures him, it'll be fine, her gaze firm. Ghislain glances towards Gillian, adding with certainty, because we have Gillian. Their heavily armed carriage, with Gillian at the reins, continues its journey through the dark, treacherous woods. The carriage rumbles along a dark, moonlit path through the woods. Suddenly, massive, shadowy claws erupt from the earth, targeting the speeding carriage. Gillian's eyes narrow, instantly alert to the unseen assailants. Figures burst from the ground, launching a surprise attack on the carriage. Gillian, now wielding a hefty axe, calmly notes, an ambush from the ground, I see. He leaps into action, expertly parrying strikes from cloaked attackers. His axe clashes violently against a sword and a dagger in a flurry of sparks. Gillian retaliates with brutal speed, his axe tearing through an attacker's defenses. The bloodied axe gleams menacingly after the swift, decisive blow. With a powerful downward swing, Gillian dispatches another ambusher. Gillian's axe whirls, deflecting another attacker's blade with precision. Suddenly, a colossal, shadowy form erupts from the ground, dwarfing the carriage. Inside, Ghislain and Belinda brace themselves, realizing, a trap at this rate will be crushed. The horses rear in terror as the carriage swerves violently to avoid the massive attack. From above, the immense earth-shattering attack narrowly misses the speeding carriage. Ghislain, peeking out, calmly observes an ambush as expected. More cloaked figures emerge from the darkness, surrounding their prey. Their leader, masked and imposing, identifies his target, former captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries, Gillian. Gillian's eyes narrow, a silent question forming as he recognizes the voice. The masked leader sneers. A coward who disbanded an entire group of mercenaries merely because of his daughter. Gillian, unmoved, retorts, I don't know what you're talking about. The masked leader sneers from above. Because of you, I lived a life I never wanted. Have you forgotten your former peer? Gillian's eyes narrow, a flicker of recognition perhaps, but he remains silent. HMPH, plain dumb. The leader scoffs, then, I'll make you remember me. With a chilling command, kill them, the cloaked figures surge forward to attack. Ghislain offers assistance, but Gillian calmly replies, it's okay. He seems to have business with me. I should be fine on my own, Gillian declares, bracing his axe as three assailants leap towards him. His axe becomes a whirlwind of destruction, effortlessly cleaving through the attackers. An injured foe curses, damn you, old man, as another lunges with a blade. Gillian, with astonishing reflexes, catches the incoming dagger with his bare hand, axe poised. With the dagger still in hand, Gillian swings his bloodied axe, felling another foe. His axe connects brutally, sending a spray of dark mist from the cloaked figure. Gillian deftly parries another blade, his axe a blur of motion. He delivers a devastating counter, the impact shattering his opponent's guard. The masked leader remarks, as expected, he's just as strong as he used to be, however. He commands, units spread out into groups, take him on from both sides. Gillian scoffs, then leaps onto one of the carriage horses, axe in hand. The cloaked figures watch in shock, exclaiming, the horse. Now mounted, Gillian prepares to charge, his expression fierce. He gallops towards the attackers, axe raised high for a sweeping strike. Gillian, now a mounted warrior, unleashes a devastating swing of his axe. He charges through the enemy ranks, his horse and axe a whirlwind of destruction. Frustrated attackers cry, ugh, I can't get near him, you fools, aim for the horse. Gillian, unfazed, readies another powerful, arcing strike from horseback. His sweeping attack sends multiple cloaked figures tumbling through the air. The force of Gillian's blow sends an enemy reeling, dark energy erupting. Inside the carriage, Ghislain and Belinda witness the brutal efficiency of Gillian's assault. Suddenly, an assassin lunges from the trees, dagger aimed at Gillian's exposed back. Gillian, sensing the danger, swiftly raises a sturdy shield to intercept. The assassin's blade meets Gillian's shield with a shower of sparks, the attack thwarted. The assassin snarls, since you ruined my life, don't hinder my work. His eyes glowing red, he vows with clawed hand outstretched, I'll make sure to kill you. Gillian, on horseback, expertly deflects the lunging assassin, whose attack goes wide. With a powerful swing from his steed, Gillian sends the attacker flying. The assassin's blade, however, manages to graze Gillian's arm as he's repelled. Gillian, unfazed by the scratch, retorts, I am not the captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries. He follows up instantly, smashing his shield into the airborne assassin's face. The masked assassin's eyes widen in shock from the brutal shield impact. Gillian watches from his horse as the attacker crashes heavily onto the ground. The defeated assassin, struggling, questions, ugh, You claim to not be the captain. The downed assassin roars, enough nonsense, if not you, then who? Ghislain's axe glows with a blue aura as he declares, I have discarded my past. He stands firm, stating, I am now nothing but young Lord Ghislain's subordinate. The assassin's red eye burns with fury. You. He lunges once more, vowing, I will kill you at all cost. Their clash erupts in a violent burst of energy under the dark, rainy sky. Ghislain expertly blocks the frenzied attack with his shield, sparks flying. The assassin's blow meets the unyielding surface of Ghislain's defense. As Ghislain shoves him back, the assassin reveals, the mercenary company disbanded after you left. His voice filled with bitterness, he cries, thanks to you, I lost my purpose, living a disgraceful life. Ghislain remains stoic, absorbing the assassin's painful accusations. He deflects a swift strike, then whirls his axe for a counter. The assassin ducks under Ghislain's powerful arcing axe swing. Undeterred, the assassin lunges with a glowing, forceful punch. Ghislain braces, his shield meeting the blow with a blinding flash. The assassin, reeling, mutters in disbelief, the shield. He declares, Ghislain, I dedicated everything to make the Ratatosk mercenaries legendary. Surrounded by fallen allies, he scorns Ghislain. You abandoned it all to serve a noble. The assassin's eye burns with crimson rage. I will never forgive you for this. He leaps, unleashing a volley of sharp, blue energy blasts towards Ghislain. Ghislain spins his axe rapidly, deflecting the incoming energy shards. Several blue projectiles shatter harmlessly against the ground. The assassin, airborne, prepares another fierce dive attack. His glowing blue blade slices down towards Ghislain with immense force. Ghislain meets the attack head-on, their weapons clashing in a burst of energy. The assassin glares, uttering Ghislain's name with chilling intensity. He sneers, your past strength as captain means nothing now, as their fight rages. While you sought a cure, I hone my power through endless battle, he boasts. The assassin declares, you are no longer a match for me, lunging with a claw. His razor-sharp, glowing claws aim for a decisive strike. Ghislain unleashes a volley of golden projectiles, intercepting the assassin's claw attack. The assassin's claws scrape violently against Ghislain's pauldron, dark energy flaring. Ghislain, now dismounted, sidesteps the attack, his axe ready. The assassin recoils, pushed back by Ghislain's swift defensive maneuver. It's over, Ghislain, the assassin roars, looming menacingly over his former captain. A sudden, powerful grip halts the assassin's momentum. Ghislain's hand, crackling with blue mana, seizes the assassin's dagger mid-strike. Is that the reason for your vengeance? Ghislain questions, his grip unyielding. The assassin stares in disbelief, realizing Ghislain had been holding back his true power. Ghislain channels his energy, delivering a devastating blow to the stunned assassin. A blinding blue energy blast sends the assassin hurtling backward. He smashes violently against a thick tree, slumping to the ground. Ghislain approaches, as the defeated assassin mutters, I do not understand. Still gripping the assassin's dagger hand, Ghislain asks if he wanted revenge. You had many chances. Ghislain's gaze intensifies. Why didn't you come to kill me earlier? The assassin chuckles darkly, ha-ha. You know one thing, but not the other. Blood trickling from his mask, he reveals, I already visited where you used to stay. The assassin continues, but there was no such captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries. He recalls finding only a frail, old Ghislain, deeming him not even worth killing. His red eye blazing, the assassin screams, where did the Ghislain I looked up to disappear? Ghislain's eyes narrow, a silent understanding passing. He commands the defeated assassin, raise your weapon. Ghislain grips his own sword. I, too, am bound, but for this moment. He stands resolute, sword held high, ready to honor their past. I will show my former comrade the highest respect, as the captain of the Ratatosk mercenaries. The assassin looks up, a simple yes, escaping his lips. He snatches his dagger from the earth, declaring, now we're talking. Their blades meet once more in a furious, ringing clash. The assassin grins wildly, bloodied mask alight. That's exactly what I wished for. Ghislain and the assassin unleash a flurry of strikes, their final battle truly joined. Their blades dance in a blur of blue energy, a desperate, final exchange. The assassin narrowly evades Ghislain's sweeping axe, a hair's breadth from impact. Dagger meets axe in a shower of sparks, their wills clashing violently. Ghislain presses his advantage, his energized axe crashing down with immense force. Locked in a deadly embrace, their eyes meet, a silent testament to their shared past. Bloodied and defiant, the assassin grits his teeth, pushing back with all his might. Ghislain whirls, his axe a silver crescent, forcing the assassin onto the defensive. With grim resolve, Ghislain raises his axe for the decisive, finishing blow. The assassin, looking up, acknowledges his former commander with a final, respectful declaration. Ghislain, his expression somber, utters the assassin's name, Vigo Villanos. Vigo Villanos wears a faint, bloodied smile, his fight concluded. His dagger clatters to the dusty ground, a symbol of his defeat. Vigo's hand, still clutching his weapon, impacts the earth. Ghislain stands resolute, his back to his fallen former comrade. Turning slightly, Ghislain acknowledges Vigo's effort with a simple good work. He rejoins his companions, already considering the spoils of their recent battles. Ghislain apologizes for the detour, but his new ally reassures him. The young man internally praises Ghislain, recognizing his exceptional strength. He recalls how tales of Ghislain inspired his own path to becoming the Mercenary King. Valuing this new alliance, the young mercenary then asks Ghislain if he truly remembers the man he just fought. Ghislain, still holding Vigo's bloody dagger, simply affirms yes. He looks off into the distance, stating, "He was my old comrade." The young mercenary ponders Ghislain's words, "Old comrade, huh?" He gazes at the moonlit sky, wondering about his own former companions. The mercenary then declares with a slight smile, "I'll have to scout them someday." Their conversation shifts, Belinda suggesting they gather valuables, while Ghislain reminds them he's no subordinate. 2 days later, their carriage approaches the vast Perdium territory, a castle visible in the distance. From the back of the carriage, the group sighs in relief, the young mercenary asking, "Is that Perdium?" The young mercenary, looking out, confirms with a simple yes. He reflects, it feels good to have a home to return to, recalling his past naivety. Ghislain remains silent, a thoughtful expression on his face. The young mercenary asks, "Ghislain, how do you like our land?" To which Ghislain awkwardly replies, "It's great." The mercenary cuts straight to the point, "It's shitty, isn't it?" As Ghislain flinches, he points out the dilapidated houses and uncultivated fields, a result of farmers being conscripted. Ghislain acknowledges the grim reality, noting Perdium's situation is worse than he'd heard. The young mercenary declares his intent to fix everything, stating, "That's why I need your strength." He foresees a long battle ahead to reclaim what was lost and dismantle Duke Delphine's connections. With unwavering resolve, the young mercenary vows, "I will revive this land no matter what." Their carriage rumbles onward through the desolate streets of Perdium. Suddenly, Belinda shouts, "Why, young master, look over there." Catching his attention, the young mercenary's eyes widen in shock at an unexpected sight. He spots a familiar silhouette atop the castle walls. "Father," he murmurs, recognizing the imposing figure on horseback. The scene shifts to a grand view of Perdium Castle, their destination. Inside, a tense discussion unfolds. "We'll need to reduce our forces." "What?" The young mercenary, now revealed as a leader, presides over a council meeting. His knight captain reveals Rayfold is hoarding resources instead of providing support. The young leader explains the dire need to rebuild, even if it means thinning their ranks. He smirks faintly, a weary same old expression on his face. The stern Perdium knight captain, Randolph, is formally introduced. Next, Treasurer Albert, a stern-looking man with a gray beard, is introduced. Perdium General Administrator Homer appears, wondering aloud, "How long has it been?" The young mercenary reflects, months as young lord, but decades as the Mercenary King. He looks up, a voice welcoming him, "Welcome back." The young mercenary kneels, addressing the figure before him, "Father," who simply acknowledges. "HM." The imposing figure is revealed. Count Walter Perdium, his father. The young mercenary internally admits he disliked his father's strictness as a child. But now his perspective has shifted, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. He sees the immense burdens and responsibilities his father carries as Lord of Perdium. Count Perdium, sipping tea, casually remarks, "I heard you were away from the castle for about a week." The young mercenary calmly states, "I visited the Rayfolds." His father, Count Perdium, hopes he avoided trouble, to which the young man simply replies, "I did not." Treasurer Albert chimes in, mentioning rumors of the young lord winning a duel and money. Albert eyes him suspiciously, asking if he went to the Rayfolds merely to gamble. The young mercenary coolly denies it, claiming he only had business with Amelia. Homer lectures him about his future responsibilities, but the young lord dismisses his concerns. Count Perdium cuts the discussion short with a firm "That's enough," silencing the room. The young mercenary looks up, intrigued, as his father mentions hearing about some good trouble. Count Perdium directly asks if it's true he executed Jamal and Philip for trying to sell Elena. A glint in his eye, the young mercenary recalls the two culprits, murmuring, "Those guys." Randolph scoffs, doubting the young lord executed them personally, suggesting an exaggerated tale. The young lord, considering Randolph's potential displeasure, vaguely confirms, "Yes, well, something like that." Randolph smirks, seemingly satisfied with the downplayed account. "HMPH, I knew it." Count Perdium, however, looks at his son with approval, stating firmly, "Great job." As the young lord's eye widens, the count clarifies his praise. No matter the process, what's important is that Elena is alive. Visibly stunned, the young lord internally remarks, "This is the first compliment I've ever gotten from father." Seizing the moment, the young lord asks, "Father, may I request one thing?" To which the count replies, "Request." Albert immediately warns against asking for money, with Randolph chiming in about past troubles. Randolph angrily recounts the young lord's previous misdeeds, while the young lord sheepishly admits, "It sure sounds like I did a lot." The young lord clarifies his intentions, "I'd just like you to give me permission." Piquing the count's curiosity, the young lord boldly declares, "I'd like to pioneer the forest of beasts," shocking the council. His eyes gleam with unwavering resolve, a plan already in motion. Later, he reveals to his companions with a slight smirk, "Dad said no." Explaining further, he recounts he freaked out and started shouting at me. As Ghislain notes the forest's monstrous reputation, the young lord confirms Ghislain knows the plan to use Amelia's funds for this dangerous venture. Ghislain elaborates on the forest of death, a place of no return, feared by all. The young lord acknowledges the perceived lack of gain, but hints at a hidden purpose. "Shall we get started?" he proposes. As Belinda frantically questions proceeding without permission, he coolly states, "I don't actually need his permission. It was just out of courtesy." To Belinda's exasperated query about his obsession, he simply replies, "I'll tell you later." He explains revealing his true motives now would only cause trouble, but success promises immense wealth. The scene shifts to a dark, ominous location near the forest entrance, hinting at what lies within. His secret is unveiled, a colossal, glittering vein of runestones buried deep beneath the earth. These are runestones, rare mana-infused ore that mages desperately seek. Runestones power various magical tools, from barriers and circles to potent scrolls. They're essential for alchemy and all magic research, anything that utilizes mana. He recalls that in his past life, Duke Delphini was the one to unearth this treasure. But in this timeline, the young lord, with a glint in his eye, is the sole keeper of the secret. Belinda, looking exasperated, seems to reluctantly accept his mysterious confidence. Ghislain, however, firmly states, "Fine, you must have a plan. I will follow your orders." To which the young lord simply replies, "Good." The young lord instructs Belinda to hire around 100 mercenaries, much to her dismay. Ghislain questions this, warning that such a large, unruly group will be hard to control and might even betray them. "You're right," the young lord agrees. "That's why you and I will pick the useful ones personally." As a distant castle appears, he clarifies they're after the most skilled small-scale mercenary group in the north. Gillian's eyes widen in disbelief. "Don't tell me. Those crazy dogs." A terrifying image of snarling, wolf-like beast with glowing red eyes flashes, symbolizing the mercenaries' ferocity. With a confident smirk, the young lord names them the Cerberus mercenaries. "Let's go put a leash on those crazy dogs," he declares. As they ride towards a rugged mountain path, they arrive at the outskirts of the Zimbar territory, where the Cerberus mercenaries have a sprawling, chaotic camp. Through a spyglass, Ghislain and the young lord are seen approaching the mercenary encampment. A mercenary smirks, "Hey, they're here," noting the newcomers are clueless. Peering through a spyglass, he sizes up the young lord as a rich noble brat. Suddenly, a hand snatches his spyglass mid-thought. The mercenary recoils in shock as Ghislain is already decimating his comrades. Ghislain leaps through the air, a whirlwind of motion amidst falling mercenaries. The spyglass-wielding mercenary screams, "Ark, you bastard, what are you doing?" His face contorts in pain and rage as the unseen assault continues. Ghislain lands with earth-shattering force, scattering the remaining Ruffians. The Cerberus mercenaries stare, eyes wide with disbelief and fury. "Who the hell is that?" they roar. "Prepare for battle. Have you lost your mind?" A mercenary leader steps forward. "Well, you look like you're from a noble family, but don't expect to return home alive," he threatens, flanked by armored goons. His scarred face shows grim determination, ready for a fight. The young lord, however, remains composed atop his white steed. "Shut it and bring me your captain," the young lord commands with icy disdain. He calmly surveys the now alerted mercenary ranks. "Who's the captain here?" the young lord repeats, his voice cutting through the tension. The mercenary leader pauses, then lets out a sinister "her." "A noble brat has lost his mind, it seems," he sneers, readying his chain mace. "It's time for you to learn," he snarls, lunging forward with his weapon. "What it means to take responsibility," the mercenary leader roars, swinging his massive chain mace. The spiked ball hurtles directly at the young lord, who watches its approach unfazed. In a flash, the young lord draws his sword, expertly wedging it between the chain links. Simultaneously, Ghislain, from below, thrusts his own blade into the chain with precision. Nearby mercenaries stare in disbelief, their helmets unable to hide their shock. The leader recoils, astonished. He shoved his blade into the chain. The severed mace head slams uselessly into the dirt. Its momentum lost. As expected, the young lord remarks coolly, words won't get through to them. He orders Ghislain, do just enough for them to not die, to which Ghislain, radiating power, replies, understood. Ghislain then becomes a blur, effortlessly parrying another incoming chain attack. Ghislain's hand, glowing with power, intercepts the chain, shocking the attacker. He vaults over the mercenary leader, who swings his mace wildly below. With focused intensity, Ghislain effortlessly deflects another chain hurtling towards him. A devastating strike sends the chain-wielding mercenary reeling backwards. You bastards, the leader roars as his men charge, undeterred by their fallen comrade. Ghislain's blade meets another mercenary's weapon in a shower of sparks. He becomes a whirlwind of steel, parrying blows from multiple assailants at once. Landing with immense force, Ghislain sends another mercenary crashing into the ground. His eyes gleam with a chilling light, a silent promise of more to come. The remaining Cerberus mercenaries stare, fear finally dawning in their eyes. The young lord, beside a towering Ghislain, impatiently asks, how long do you plan on making us wait? With a cold gaze, he dismisses the remaining men, scram, small fry, and bring me the captain. A muscular figure with an open vest emerges, awakened by the ruckus. I was sleeping well. What is this commotion? Ranks of heavily armored mercenaries stand at attention. A more disciplined force than those Ghislain faced. The newcomer steps forward, his boots kicking up dust. I am the captain of the Cerberus mercenaries, Kor. Kor, with striking red hair and piercing blue eyes, coolly inquires, why are you looking for me? Captain Kor stands defiantly before his troops, his formidable presence clear. The young lord states his purpose, I'm here to entrust a request to you. While Kor questions his aggressive approach to his subordinates, Kor raises an eyebrow, shouldn't you, the noble, be more knowledgeable when it comes to manners? The young lord smirks, this is my own way of greeting you. I thought this would be the best way to tame you properly. Kor smirks, tame, you say. I can't imagine what would happen if you were to greet us twice. Now seated, Kor relents, all right, fine. Let's hear it. What kind of request do you have? The young lord states his daunting request, the forest of beasts, shocking Kor and his guards. With a determined gaze, the young lord elaborates, I'd like to hire you to pioneer the forest. Kor's men murmur in disbelief, that forest filled with monsters, near the Perdium territory. Kor, intrigued, leans back with a sly smile, oh, stirring up such a dangerous forest. The young lord formally introduces himself. I am the young lord of Perdium, Ghislain Perdium. Kor listens intently, his expression neutral as he processes the young lord's identity. The surrounding mercenaries erupt, the rumored young lord. He's out of his mind to pioneer that forest. Kor condescendingly lectures, hey, Mr. Noble, that forest isn't for rookies. But the young lord retorts, I don't need to hear any more from you. Kor declares to his men, boys, the negotiation is over, as they stand ready. Ghislain, axe in hand, stands guard as the young lord silently observes. Kor stares intently at the young lord, provocatively asking, are you scared? The young lord smirks, I heard you were skilled, but it seems that was just a hoax. Kor slams his foot onto the table with a thud, a clear sign of his displeasure. Don't mess with me, Kor warns. We only do what pays off. The young lord coolly replies, it's always the weaklings that make excuses. Kor looks down, a flicker of contemplation crossing his face. The mood's ruined, Kor scoffs, pay for the trouble and get lost, brat. The young lord, eyes slightly open, firmly states, no, that won't happen. Captain of the Cerberus mercenaries, Kor, the young lord begins. I request to have a morion as recognition against you. Kor's head whips around, his red hair flying, clearly taken aback by the audacious demand. Even Ghislain and the surrounding mercenaries are visibly shocked by the sudden, serious challenge. Kor glares intently, his blue eyes narrowed. You even know what that is? The young lord meets his gaze with a knowing smirk. Of course I do. An image illustrates Moriana's recognition, a traditional, brutal betting method among mercenaries. The rules are stark. To combatants, a single dagger each, no mana, and one arm bound together. Stepping outside the small, drawn circle means instant defeat, forcing a life-or-death struggle. The outcome is often fatal, not just for the loser, but sometimes even the victor perishes. The young lord finishes. The loser must clearly admit defeat and absolutely obey the words of the winner. The young lord finishes, the loser becomes the winner's dog. He then coolly asks Kor, how does that sound? An old mercenary panics, realizing a noble knows their brutal tradition, one impossible to refuse. Kor's eyes narrow with a dangerous glint, a smirk playing on his lips. With sudden force, Kor shoves his chair back, rising to meet the challenge. He addresses his men. Boys, we have a bold noble wanting recognition our way. Kor's eyes blaze as he grins. Why don't we help him a bit? Their left arms are tightly bound together, sealing the deadly pact. Kor and the young lord face off, daggers drawn within the small circle surrounded by onlookers. The old mercenary roars, that insolent brat, kill him, Captain. Kor smirks, heard of this method, huh? You can't back out now. He yanks the young lord forward, trying to assert dominance. Kor whispers confidently, because I've already done this 5 times. The young lord feigns surprise, echoing 5 times. Then, with surprising strength, Ghislain pulls Kor off balance. The young lord's eyes gleam dangerously. I've done this over 100 times. Kor's bravado shatters, his eyes wide with disbelief at the counter. Ghislain's cold, unwavering gaze reveals the terrifying truth of his claim. Start, roars between them, their expressions locked in deadly resolve. Daggers instantly clash as the life-or-death struggle begins. Ghislain immediately lunges, dagger aimed with deadly precision at Kor. Their faces are inches apart. Ghislain's eyes burn with cold focus, Kor's widen in surprise. Daggers meet in a furious exchange, a blur of motion as they test each other's defenses. The brutal dance continues, each fighter relentlessly seeking an opening in the other's guard. Ghislain throws a vicious punch with his free left hand, aiming for Kor's jaw. Kor narrowly dodges, countering with a swift, powerful hook of his own. Kor presses his physical advantage, trying to pin Ghislain and bring his dagger to bear. Ghislain twists with surprising agility, breaking Kor's hold and creating distance. Seizing the moment, Ghislain pivots, launching a powerful kick towards Kor's midsection. The kick connects solidly, forcing a pain grunt from Kor as he stumbles back. Ghislain, momentarily grounded, looks up with quiet determination. Kor taunts, holding on longer than expected. But 100 times, if you're bluffing, you gotta at least try to make it seem real. Kor unleashes a furious punch. The mercenaries roar, he's lost momentum. Kill him. This is what you get. Ghislain watches, his men uneasy, as the tide seems to turn against the young lord. With a grimace, Ghislain mutters, it's a losing battle. The narration highlights the brutal constraints, a tiny circle, no mana, pure strength, and bound hands. Ghislain struggles to parry, his arm already showing signs of the fierce exchange. The text emphasizes Kor's clear advantage and control of the fight. Kor relentlessly presses his attack, forcing Ghislain into a desperate defense. Ghislain watches intently, a grim thought forming. If the situation becomes truly dire, his hand tightens on his axe, then, at that moment, I'll have to step in. Back in the circle, Kor attempts an elbow strike, but Ghislain holds firm, daggers at the ready. With a sudden twist, Ghislain uses their bound arms to send Kor flying over his shoulder. Ghislain lands solidly, the force of his throw evident as Kor is flung through the air. A sharp exclamation escapes as Ghislain's eyes narrow, feeling the strain on his bound arm. Ghislain internally notes the surging pain, damage accumulating without mana protection. Kor sneers, you're already looking pale, hitting your limit already, noble. Kor unleashes a brutal blow, taunting, pathetic. Ghislain Perdium, you have guts, but that's it. Kor's eyes gleam with confidence. I can see right through you. Kor deduces Ghislain's strategy, parry blades, endure lesser hits with his body. Kor drives a powerful kick into Ghislain's already strained leg. He reminds Ghislain that without mana, every impact accumulates, showing a visual of damage. Kor points out the visible strain on Ghislain's face, a telltale sign of his weakening legs. With a cruel smirk, Kor taunts, let's see your struggle. Kor's eyes gleam menacingly as he declares, that's what makes this fun. Kor expertly twirls his dagger, preparing his next relentless assault. He unleashes a furious, arcing slash, aiming to overwhelm Ghislain. Ghislain ducks sharply, the deadly blade whizzing just above his head. Ghislain brings his dagger up, desperately trying to meet Kor's relentless offensive. Kor follows through with a powerful downward slash, forcing Ghislain to contort his body. Ghislain, eyes blazing, endures a brutal kick to his already battered side. The impact of Kor's kick reverberates, sending a shockwave through Ghislain. Ghislain's vision blurs, red static crackling as pain threatens to overwhelm him. Kor smirks confidently, believing the fight is decided. All right, it's over. His grip tightens on his dagger, a single chilling word escaping him, die. Kor raises his blade high, preparing to deliver the final fatal blow to the downed Ghislain. Ghislain and his knights watch in horror, Ghislain roaring, young lord. But a faint, almost imperceptible smirk plays on Ghislain's lips. In a desperate, last-ditch effort, Ghislain twists, aiming his own dagger upwards. Kor's killing blow misses as Ghislain narrowly evades, dagger pointed upwards. Kor's eyes widen in disbelief. He dodged with that stance? Ghislain, from the ground, sweeps Kor's legs, sending him off balance. As Kor stumbles, Ghislain's upward thrust finds its mark, drawing blood. The blade bites deep into Kor's side, a fresh wound blooming on his torso. Ghislain and his knights stare, utterly stunned by the sudden reversal. Kor, enraged and wounded, swings his dagger desperately at the rising Ghislain. Ghislain ducks beneath the wild slash, exploiting Kor's compromised state. Ghislain presses his advantage, driving his dagger home as Kor recoils in agony. The mercenaries cry out in shock. He wounded our captain again. Ghislain remains silent as his men yell, "Captain, show him what a mercenary is made of." Kor, bleeding and enraged, swings a desperate, powerful punch at Ghislain. Ghislain meets Kor's furious blow, their struggle intensifying at close quarters. Ghislain's gaze is sharp, his bloody dagger held firmly, anticipating Kor's next move. With sudden speed, Ghislain lands a solid punch squarely on Kor's jaw. Ghislain fluidly reverses his grip on the dagger, preparing a swift, downward strike. The dagger bites into Kor's arm, eliciting a pain grunt from the mercenary captain. Kor, through the agony, unleashes a retaliatory haymaker aimed at Ghislain's head. Stunned, Kor demands through gritted teeth, "What did you do?" Ghislain's eyes are cold as Kor questions, "You were struggling to withstand my strength just a moment ago." Ghislain watches, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I see." Ghislain realizes Kor's powerful swings create rigidity, a loss of flexibility. He notes Ghislain didn't fight Kor's momentum, but redirected it, creating his own flow. Ghislain tightens his grip on his axe, impressed Ghislain overcame the size difference this way. Kor's men shout, "What are you doing, Captain? You're not making anyone laugh now." Ghislain commends Kor, "Your resolve is impressive, many would have used mana by now." Kor retorts, "I won my captaincy this way, break the rules and you don't last." A slight, knowing smirk plays on Ghislain's lips, "I like that." Ghislain admits in a head-to-head match, "I might be at a slight disadvantage." Kor's eyes blaze with intensity, "But victory isn't just about overpowering you." Kor roars, his dagger a blur, "It's about sending you out of bounds." The battlefield reveals a crucial rule. 1 foot out and it's an automatic loss. Kor presses his attack, "If I send your body flying, you'll touch the ground outside." A savage grin spreads across Kor's face as he declares, "I win." Ghislain, however, maintains a steady grip on his own dagger, undeterred. Kor drives forward, attempting to bulldoze Ghislain over the line. Ghislain is launched into the air, flipping backwards, perilously close to the edge. But in a stunning move, the airborne Ghislain grabs Kor's extended arm. A close-up reveals a leather strap, Ghislain's hidden trump card, securing his grip. Ghislain yanks hard, using Kor's momentum against him, pulling the captain forward. Ghislain, airborne, uses the strap to pivot, delivering a powerful kick to Kor's torso. The force of the impact sends Kor crashing face-first towards the ground. Kor lands hard, clearly outside the designated combat circle, while Ghislain remains within. The knights exclaim in disbelief, "He's out, the circle." Kor lies defeated, his face etched with pain. The text declares it's over. Ghislain stands over him, calmly stating, "I win, Kor." Kor, struggling, demands, "You, who the hell are you to have this caliber of skill?" Ghislain's eyes glint as he coldly replies, "I don't like your attitude. You're talking to your master right now." Suddenly, Kor lunges, swinging wildly despite the strap still connecting him to Ghislain. Ghislain, easily evading, questions Kor's defiance, "What do you want?" The fight's over. Kor stares in disbelief as Ghislain declares, "No, you haven't gone outside the circle just yet." Ghislain's eyes narrow, his fist clenched, "I'll be disciplining my subordinate now." A brutal punch lands, sending Kor reeling from the impact. The knights watch aghast as Ghislain stands over the fallen Kor within the circle. Kor, pinned, desperately cries out, wait. The rules say if one steps out." Ghislain ignores his plea, delivering another crushing blow to Kor's face. Kor, struggling, spits, "You bastard. You call yourself a noble." Ghislain's expression is chilling as he retorts, "Don't talk back to your master." His fist connects again, Kor gasping, "You lunatic." Ghislain unleashes a merciless barrage of punches, determined to break Kor. The knights murmur, "Is it okay to let him do that? The bet's already over." Kor screams in agony, Stop," as another blow lands. Ghislain continues his relentless assault, each punch echoing within the circle. Ghislain coldly reminds him, "You're not out of the circle yet." Despite the brutal beating, a defiant glare burns in Kor's eyes. Kor desperately shouts to his men, "Are you all just going to watch this? Kill this guy." The mercenaries roar, "Ah yes," and surge forward, swords drawn. But Ghislain steps in, his massive axe barring their path with a glint. Ghislain declares with chilling authority, "Anyone who hinders the young lord's disciplinary measure will be killed." The mercenaries freeze, visibly intimidated by Ghislain's deadly warning. Kor's face is a mess of bruises and blood, his eyes wide with disbelief. He trembles, the fight seemingly knocked out of him by Ghislain's relentless assault. Ghislain looms over him, his blue eyes cold as he asks, "Are you done?" Kor manages a weak, almost delirious laugh, his fist still clenched. As Ghislain effortlessly sidesteps another feeble swing, Kor's internal monologue begins. "All nobles I've met in my life were nothing more than losers." His battered face reflects a lifetime of disdain for the aristocracy. He recalls them: overconfident pigs, treacherous cowards, and vain narcissists. A simple scare tactic, he remembers, was all it took to make them grovel. And taking their money, he muses, was always an entertaining bonus. This ruthless approach, he proudly recalls, earned him the fearsome title of Mad Dog. Kor internally seethes. But now, why am I losing to a noble brat like this? His men watch helplessly. Captain Kor. He's going to die at this rate. But what can we do? Ghislain, still gripping Kor's arm, calmly asks, "Is this enough?" He then barks at the knights. "What are you doing, standing there? Bring me some water, a bandage, and a towel." Ghislain adds matter-of-factly, "Your captain's going to die at this rate, by the way." The knights jolt in surprise, taken aback by his command. They hastily comply. Understood. As the view widens to the bleak encampment, Ghislain observes the unfolding scene, a pensive look on his face. He notes with astonishment, the unruly mercenaries are listening to the young lord's orders. A fist tightens as the narration reveals, in the world of mercenaries, where fists are closer than the law. Text reveals the young lord engraved his authority using the most direct, surefire method. He established his dominance, showing them exactly who the boss is. A bandaged Kor now sits before a contract, knights standing guard behind him. Ghislain points to the document on the table, simply stating, "Signature." Bruised and battered, Kor remains silent, clearly reluctant. With ATCH, Kor begrudgingly picks up the quill as Ghislain watches over Ghislain. He slides the signed paper across the table, curtly saying, "Here." Ghislain's eyes narrow sharply, questioning Kor's blunt here. The mercenary captain quickly corrects himself. "I look forward to working with you." To which Ghislain replies, "Good." Suddenly, Ghislain seizes Kor's hand over the table, making him cry out, "Ugh." Ghislain, still gripping Kor's hand, declares with a smile, "We're a family from now on." Ghislain's eyes gleam as he adds, "I look forward to working with you as well." A few days later, the scene shifts to the outskirts of the Perdium territory. A large group of newly hired mercenaries gathers, looking somewhat disorganized. One mercenary yawns, questioning the early morning call, while another grumbles about needing lunch. Whispers spread among them, their new employer is Perdium's young lord. Dismissed by some as just a brat, a veteran mercenary with an eye patch smirks, thinking this might be an easy job. Suddenly, a loud clap breaks the chatter as someone demands their attention. A massively built, shirtless man steps forward, suggesting they need a representative to deal with their brat employer. A hooded mercenary gasps in recognition. "You are Gordon the Muscle." "Damn right, that's me." Gordon the Muscle confirms, eyeing their lazy scheming. He preaches that united voices are needed for desired results. As one recalls a past group's failure, a skeptical mercenary questions Gordon's plan, advising him to know his boundaries. Gordon declares he'll pressure the employer, holding out a bag for their compensation. Mercenaries eagerly toss coins into the pouch, praising Gordon's reliable money-gathering skills. As Gordon clutches the full bag, a shout goes up, "Hey, someone's coming." A lone rider is spotted on a path, heading towards a distant, imposing castle. The rider, revealed as Ghislain, confidently gallops closer to the castle. Identifying their employer approaching alone, one mercenary sneers he'll flee from Gordon's muscles. Gordon grins, ordering his men, "All right, everyone, come forth and set up a scary mood for me." Gordon the Muscle cracks his knuckles, declaring, "Time to teach a brat how tough the real world is." Suddenly, a mercenary's eye widens in surprise, questioning, "HM?" Ghislain isn't alone. A formidable troop of mounted mercenaries now rides behind him. Leading the charge with Ghislain our Kor, now sporting a distinctive dog snout helmet, and Ghislain. The hooded mercenary gasps, that dog snout-shaped helmet. See, could they really be the Cherbur's mercenaries, as Gordon shouts, "What?" Other mercenaries stare in disbelief, wondering how Ghislain made those crazy dogs follow him. Ghislain's imposing entourage approaches, causing Gordon and his group to falter. Ghislain halts before them, a calm, knowing look on his face. He coolly addresses Gordon, "Are you the rep?" To which a nervous Gordon stammers, "Pardon." "Why, yes, I am." Ghislain's gaze remains steady as he simply asks, "Your name?" Gordon nervously stammers his own name, "G. Gordon the Muscle." Ghislain coolly repeats, "Gordon the Muscle," a hint of amusement in his eyes. With a cool name, Ghislain delivers a swift gut punch, making Gordon grunt. He then formally introduces himself, I am the young Lord of Perdium, Ghislain Perdium. As Gordon stares, dumbfounded, Ghislain, turning his horse, issues a direct order. Gather the mercenaries, Gordon. A determined glint in his eye, Ghislain announces, we will now begin pioneering the forest of beast. The scene shifts, showing the vast, untamed forest of beast under a clear sky. Days later, Ghislain, now in practical gear, is assisted by a white-haired woman. She reports to him, all preparations for pioneering the forest have been finished. As she adjusts his armed guard, she adds, construction of the expedition's temporary base is nearly complete, along with resource procurement. She confirms the troops are also ready, as Ghislain surveys his assembled forces. Ghislain stands with Belinda, Gillian, and Kor, ready to embark on their mission. He asks Belinda for a final headcount, to which she calmly agrees. Belinda begins, with the 148 mercenaries contracted through the office, and the 41 Cerberus mercenaries, plus us, the total is 192. Good, Ghislain nods, then asks if Scoven has been properly informed. Belinda confirms Scoven is surprisingly cooperative, ensuring their stealthy entry into the forest. Ghislain smirks slightly, finding this development reassuring. Facing the gathered mercenaries, Ghislain commands, everyone line up. Ghislain addresses the assembled mercenaries. Ahead of us lies the forest of beasts, the land we will pioneer. He acknowledges the rumors of unknown dangers, monsters, and unseen threats lurking within. Some mercenaries gasp in terror, the forest of beasts, we might not make it out alive. Belinda sharply rebukes them for interrupting, as Ghislain calmly offers, those who wish to withdraw may do so now. He then declares, however, if this mission succeeds, I promise you 3 times your current pay. The mercenaries' fear turns to excitement. Really? Now that sounds appealing. Belinda privately expresses concern to Ghislain about their funds, but he simply states, this is how you boost morale. Ghislain visualizes valuable ice crystals, confident the forest resources will cover the cost. He turns to Belinda with a knowing look, asking, you trust me, right? Belinda sighs, defeated but resigned. I have no choice but to do so. Gillian remarks on their master's boldness, while Kor confidently states, he's a man who always has a plan. The newly formed Forest of Beasts expedition team stands ready for action. Ghislain, cloaked and resolute, declares time to move. They venture into the shadowy depths of the imposing forest. An axe bites into wood, signaling the arduous task of clearing has begun. Mercenaries, led by Ghislain and his commanders, work tirelessly felling trees. Ghislain, axe resting on a stump, surveys their progress with a determined gaze. A massive tree crashes down, testament to their combined efforts. As sunlight pierces the canopy, Ghislain notes, good, finally some light. He commands his team, keep clearing the path in this direction, assigning various tasks. Ghislain recalls Delphine's journal, noting the forest vastness and his urgent need for money from a runestone vein. A map reveals their planned route, a red arrow pointing directly towards the coveted runestone vein. Ghislain swings his axe with purpose, knowing this wealth is key to thwarting Perdium's enemies. Gillian watches his master work, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. Nearby mercenaries scoff, doubting Ghislain's resolve and calling it a mere show of nobility. Belinda sharply cuts them off, ordering the chattering mercenaries back to their tasks. She glares after them, clearly exasperated by their attitude. Belinda questions Ghislain's decision to work, fearing it undermines his authority with the hired men. Ghislain, focused, retorts that more hands speed up the work, and lingering here is unwise. Belinda observes him, noting he speaks with an unnerving certainty about the future. Kor smirks, remarking on Ghislain's concerned companion while lamenting his own dog's life. Gordon, unamused, swiftly elbows Kor, who doubles over with a grunt. As Kor shouts, are you picking a fight? Belinda and Ghislain observe the squabble. Ghislain, however, internally notes that their progress has been surprisingly smooth so far. He recalls Delphine's journal, which detailed the forest resources and monster ecology, though not their motives for development. A mercenary questions the expensive choice of lanterns over torches, as Ghislain reflects on his journalated preparations. Despite the calm, Ghislain stands vigilant, finding the lack of any incidents deeply unsettling. He turns, cautioning his team, don't let your guard down, admitting his knowledge is only from text. The path ahead plunges into an even more ominous and shadowy part of the woods. Deeper within, two armored figures continue the relentless work of clearing the oppressive forest. A mercenary wonders if it's night already, noting the lack of monsters despite the forest reputation. Another jest about easy triple pay, prompting Gordon to playfully demand his share back. Suddenly, the log-carrying mercenary pauses, a look of confusion dawning. He calls out, hey guys, catching the attention of the nearby group. He points out, we clearly chopped down countless trees on our way here, right? The others exchange uneasy glances, confirming his statement with a hesitant well. Yeah? Sinister, gnarled trees loom ahead, their branches like grasping claws. The mercenary then asks, then why is this path blocked? As the cleared way is now obstructed. Ghislain's voice cuts through the tension. Everyone, attention. The entire expedition team, Ghislain and his commanders at the forefront, draw their weapons, bracing for the unseen. Alarmed mercenaries sense the forest atmosphere suddenly turn ominous. Ghislain urgently warns Gordon, "You'll die if you stay there." With intense focus, Ghislain directs, "Come this way slowly, one step at a time." A visibly stressed Gordon tries to obey, surrounded by menacing, shadowy trees. Gordon's heavy log bumps a tree, a startled escaping his lips. Vicious spikes erupt from the ground as Gordon falls, the expedition watching in horror. "That idiot," a nearby mercenary shouts, witnessing Gordon's blunder. Gordon lets out a piercing scream, his face a mask of pure terror. He stares up at a colossal, gnarled tree, its dark canopy hiding glowing, malevolent eyes. The other mercenaries exchange uneasy looks, sensing something is deeply wrong. Ghislain remains silent, his expression grim as he assesses the dire situation. A bald mercenary scoffs, My. Our employer sure gets scared easily, huh?